of them are grandparents, and even a few are great-grandparents. I'm yet to be a grandparent, although one of my children is married about a year now. But do I have what it takes? We're going to go through some things that you may or may not have thought of. And all this stuff is more or less covered in the book. It doesn't say, do I have what it takes? And it's certainly covered in the Castle Seminar. And it's certainly covered partially on my YouTubes that encapsulate parts of the Castle Seminar. And when you're trying to decide, do I have what it takes? What you're really asking yourself, is this really what I want? And when we go through some of the sacrifices that I've made and other high performance people have made, you know, it's in some cases it'll be a gut wrenching experience for you to answer. Is this really what I want?
Wow. All right, so check this out.
You know, like I say, just today or yesterday, excuse me, we had our weekly board meeting, and I picked Sundays. This is a Monday. I picked Sundays for my board meetings because it's normally a free day. I have less to do because less emails come in, less tweets come in, less requests of my time, and so I don't want that time to go idle. As opposed to you want to take Sundays off, or Saturdays off, or even more off. So we had the board meeting, and at the board meeting, we were sitting around with the board members, long-time board members, and we were discussing some future projects, and we were discussing the risk reward in our risk portfolio. And even though it was risky, I decided that we would go forward. And, my fellow board members agreed with me.
Or BillionDollaZoe.
But during that discussion, I asked one of them, who's a healthy guy. I said, I told him that I was going to have this talk. I was going to be shooting today. Do I have what it takes, and is it really what I want? And I said, people tell me all the time how good I look. You know, I'll be 70 my next birthday. But they've been telling me this for at least 7, 8 years. 7, 8 years ago, people didn't think I was in my early 60s. They thought I was in maybe my early 50s. Some people that were trying to blow smoke at my ass even said that I looked even younger than that. Okay. And the older I've gotten, I look about the same. I look at pictures of the Castle Seminar, the YouTube. And I look about
what we have,
about
preparation.
Last 7, 8 years. Some people say I look better the last 2 or 3 years than I looked 7, 8 years ago. And some people say that I look better the last 2 or 3 years for sure than I did 10 or 12 or 14 years ago. Be that as it may. But so I don't look like I'm almost 70. I certainly don't sound like I'm almost 70. I don't know whether I dress like I'm almost 70 because I've dressed like this a long, long time. But I take 160 to 180 pills a day.
Wow.
More or less. When I travel, maybe I only, when I'm on planes and renting in out of hotels, maybe I only take 60 or 80 pills a day. I take those pills, and I don't take any drugs. As I told Brian Rose of London Real, I'm high on life. I don't need to do the drugs that a lot of kids do, DMT, etc. I exercise like a madman.
Wow.
Especially for my age.
Exercise like a madman.
Times I've shown little short clips in my newsletters of the intensity and the passion that I still have for working out. So I eat right. I essentially don't drink hardly any alcohol except for when I travel with my wife. And I hate to say that I drink to be sociable, but I drink to be sociable because my wife drinks. She doesn't drink a lot, but I drink with her. So if you know that that's what I do to look this way, why do so few people do it? Why?
Yeah.
There's a pay price to action for everything in life. The sacrifices are commensurate with the benefit. Now, when you have a lot of sacrifice built up over time, the benefits become geometric, and that's what the QLA, quantum leap advantage, is all about.
You got the Facebook post. That's gonna be your.
But is that really for you?
Share it.
Share. I've said since 1993. Share it. It's not everybody's cup of tea. It just isn't. It flat fucking isn't. And after doing it now 21 years, I even realized how I can't think of the word, how monumental my comment was when I said it's not everybody's cup of tea. That was an understatement of fucking biblical proportion.
Yeah, yeah.
And when we go through it,
So
and how
that's
we talk about,
that's my reaction video.
I want you to be in the top 1%.
When it makes sense,
We'll
I'll chime in. Other than that, I'm a student as well. It's my job to take this in and formulate my life.
Is only about 7.5 million.
You don't stop learning. I'm not going to stop learning. I have to hustle.
Doesn't mean you're going to be the richest 7.5 million people, but those people, when you look at the bell curve, which we will in a moment, are the people that are willing to make that sacrifice. So, do I have what it takes?
Not right now.
And in most cases, kids, the answer is you do have what it takes, but you're not willing to make the sacrifice.
Actually, yeah,
because it's not really what you want.
I don't care if they can hear or not.
Now, we're all born limitless. You know,
born limitless.
3, 4, 5-year-old kid doesn't know from their limits.
So you are born limitless.
You know, and then as we grow older, we get
same with fear.
I've often said, you know, they ask me, well, what did your parents do differently, Dan, so you had such high self-esteem? And I used to say they only did 2 things differently, but in more reflection, they actually did 3 things differently. And then one, my mother read a book by Dr. Spock about raising kids. It said never tell them no because it leaves bad. The result is psychologically bad. Number 2, my mother never used to let me crawl around on the ground. Because we were poor, and poorer people had dirtier clothes than less poor. So she carried me on her hip until I was 2 or 3 until I could walk. But number 3, and I asked this question, when did you guys realize in your minds there was no Santa Claus, or no Tooth Fairy, or no, you know, Easter Bunny, or any of those things? The last seminar, and I might have mentioned it, but the last seminar, I asked around, and we had people that were 7 or 8 years old that became known to them by their parents or by their friends on the streets, etc. That there were no of those people like Santa Claus. And we had one young man who said he knew from the very beginning that there was no Santa Claus, and that our parents were our Santa Claus. Well, guess what? I was 11 fucking years old before I realized there was no Santa Claus. 11. My parents never told me. You know, I learned the hard way, like we learn a lot of things. Well, but I still believe that there were, you know, I was limitless. I still believe that, you know, things appeared out of the stars, or out of the sky, or out of the night.
Well,
so my limiting beliefs didn't start until I was about 11 years old.
I believe that Jesus till a nigga was 21.
I still dream.
20,
I still
think
that you can act without limits to your abilities. You know, QLA is about releasing emotional baggage, not gaining emotional baggage. And most of you, and not just you, but most people in the world gain emotional baggage as they grow older because life beats them down. But I'm here to tell you that what you have learned can be unlearned. And that's what QLA is all about. And you don't have to come to the seminar. We do it best in the seminar, but we've got just countless pages of free content. And virtually everything I've ever done is on torrent.
It's on torrent? Hey, so you can download everything.
Unlearn bad habits. You know, stay aware of limiting beliefs of others. And, you know, I've told you a lot of times, you know, we're the average of the 5 people that we hung around with most in our first formative years. And unfortunately, those 5 people were a mother, a dad, a grandparent, older brother and sister. And none of those people were trained to teach you how to be a high-performance person. But part of QLA and part of being a high-performance person is to get in touch with your emotions. So that's not in the sense that you would normally think, but in the sense that you know that there's 2 bank accounts in life. There's a financial bank account and there's an emotional bank account. Right. And though we've been taught, and you're more concerned about running out of your money in your financial bank account, it's your emotional bank account that is the biggest concern. I was late to go shoot today because one of my young mentees, very successful guy, he is making as much money as many of you that are watching this would be happy if he never made any more fucking money than he does. He's single, and he is now having concerns, emotional concerns, that he's lonely. And he doesn't have a girlfriend or wife or any of that kind of stuff, ex-wives or anything like that. and he's lonely. And one of the things that we do at the close of the counseling seminar is we talk about his lonely at the top. And the high performance people are like eagles, they fly alone. But it's now catching up to me. He's a very young guy.
Get in touch with your emotions.
Barely out of high school. And he's already doing very well. And I talked to him, talked about him.
And get mentors.
In previous podcasts. Now, not all these things, but all these things can be made better when you get mentors. I just recently saw an article written by Sir Richard Branson that he said all life gets better for entrepreneurs with mentors. And I'll talk about that in the near future. But most of you are what I call assholes. A person who constantly asks for your advice, not just mine, but a lot of other people. In fact, when you ask other people for advice, you're making a mistake because unless they're a high-performance person, you're wasting your time. Yet always does the opposite of what you tell them. I don't know why you ask. I do know why you ask, because you're insecure. You lack self-esteem, self-confidence, self-assuredness. But the bottom line is, you read books, you attend seminars, you buy the CDs, and etc., rather than take action. You're looking to fill that void by listening to somebody else's opinion. And in most cases, whilst a lot of these guys and gals are short-term motivators, where they can keep you motivated for a short period of time, there's no intermediate to long-term benefit, and they certainly don't tell you or show you step-by-step, as Q&A does, how to build a business. Okay. So far, does it sound like this is for you, or do you have what it takes? You should ask yourself after every slide and after every little vignette or analogy I go through, is this really what I want? Kids are not programmed for success. If you've got a good parent, the kids are programmed to be loved, okay? But your parents and my parents, with some caveats, gave me a lot of love, and your parents hopefully gave you a lot of love. But it's a 50-50 coin. I had kids to come to the seminar that were raped by everybody in the family, extended family, beaten, thrown under bridges, mutilated, set on fire, gone to prison, ex-heroin addicts, ex-Foreign Legion guys. It didn't matter whether their parents were good to them or bad to them. It's a flip of the coin, because as I've said in countless times, it's not what happens to us in life, it's how we react, how we assimilate to what happens to us in life. And because of our parents' innate insecurities,
it's not what happens, it's how we assimilate.
Are manifested in how we act, because that's how we were raised. We react poorly. Almost all of us react poorly to stress. I personally love when the shit hits the fan, because that's when I'm at my best.
Right.
Because the people around me are having trouble. They're fumbling around trying to think of what to do. Now, after 40 plus years of doing this, I know what to do almost instantaneously. But you're fumbling around because you weren't programmed. And if you're not programmed, I want to say I can understand, but I can't. The only reason I can understand a little is because I've trained thousands and thousands and thousands, either directly or indirectly.
I wish I could say I understand, but I can't.
1993.
Yes.
But you're not programmed to be successful. Now, if you had both parents were Olympians, you're more or less, you got great DNA because they got made at the Olympics. But unless they go out of their way to teach you how to be a high performance person and how to not accept no for an answer or a result, it's not likely you're going to go to the goddamn Olympics. Forget winning medals, because I take my hat off those people that went to the Olympics, and I've got a big picture of Eric Heiden, who won, I think, 7 gold medals in the 1980 Olympics. And he's got like 33 or 35 inside. I got a picture of him there. And I said, does that look like he had much balance in his life?
I'm working.
But he was programmed by somebody to be a world-class athlete. And that's why when you have world-class athletes that were former NBA stars and they won, 2 or 3 championships, those guys have a better opportunity to coach and get success. I just spent a couple minutes talking about how we're not programmed.
Oh wow, yeah, this is awesome.
And that's Freud, and I use I said that I'm
and this is where I will live.
Part Jack Welch, part General Patton, and part Sigmund Freud.
On YouTube. If you need me, find me on YouTube.
Well,
that's it. I'm
read.
on YouTube live.
I don't read a lot of books.
Live with the YouTube live.
Contrast there is between the radiant, intelligent child and the feeble mentality of the average adult.
So here we go. This is
now read it again.
One more time.
What a distressing contrast there is between the radiant, intelligent child and the feeble mentality of the average adult. You go to Disney World, you go to those kind of theme parks, you see it in the kids' faces. You go to a birthday party for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds, you see it in their faces. You see how, radiant they are. Those are the kids that believe in Santa Claus. Those are the kids that believe in Tinkerbell of, Disney fame. Walt Disney arguably had that feeling till the day he died. I don't have it in the sense that he had it, but I do have it because I still think, the wall of China can still be built. I still think pyramids can still be built.
Yeah.
But in the engineering schools we have today, they tell you it can't be built. Well, then how the fuck did they get there? Now, whether they got there from aliens coming down and showing them how to be built or not, I don't know. But we're fairly confident that those stones were cut by human hands. But the seminar, the Dutch Council seminar, talks about this at great length and how we get fucked up. And I've said it many times, not everybody likes it. In fact, almost nobody likes it. That parents fuck you up. They don't do it intentionally, God love them. Now, some of them, if you got Charlie Manson hatchet murder for a parent, they still probably love you, but they fuck you up. And some of the parents fuck you up on purpose. I was fortunate, as I've said, my self-esteem came from my mom, who I was joined at the hip, and I was really a little mama's boy, first 7, 8, 9 years of my life. And my dad is work ethic and integrity. I've said a jillion times, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Most of the people that are watching this, for my year-end present to you, or holiday present, or New Year present, whatever you want to call it, have low performers as your friends.
Show me your friends.
And you pick low performers, guys and gals, because that's where your comfort zone is.
That's your comfort zone.
And as
we need high performance friends.
Mentor and good friend for 25 years, the famous author of Release Your Brakes. And just to make a comment, what does that really mean, release your brakes? It's simple. Well, it's simple now, but it wasn't simple when he wrote the book, 50 years ago, whenever he wrote it. For those of you that are old enough to remember driving cars that had emergency brake, we had to release the emergency brake. Now the new cars, all you do is you put it in the drive and the emergency brake pops off or releases by itself. Well, for those of us that remember driving the car with our emergency brakes on, it was sluggish. It was bad for the tires, the differential, the U-joints, the transmission, the engine. It was bad for everything. And then when you release the brake, the car just surged ahead, like in Star Trek, going into warp speed. Well, most of you guys have gone through your life with your brakes on. And your buddies, the people that you spend the most time with, certainly have the same unfortunate habit of going through life with your brakes on and not stepping outside the box and outside your comfort zone. Jim Newman, God rest his soul, invented, if you will, or initiated the phrase comfort zone. And he released it, and he came out of IBM with Ross Perot at the same time, the first brain drain in the early 60s of IBM. And as I've mentioned, and you can read, I mean, stable of mentees is pretty phenomenal.
All right, we got major names. I'm paying attention. We got major names. So we're gonna run that back just a little bit,
With your brakes on, and your buddies, your the people that you spend the most time with, certainly have the same unfortunate habit of going through life with your brakes on and not stepping outside the box and outside your comfort zone. Jim Newman, God rest his soul, invented, if you will, or initiated the phrase comfort zone. And he released it, and he came out of IBM with Ross Perot at the same time, the first brain drain in the early 60s of IBM. And as I've mentioned, and you can read, I mean, his stable of mentees is pretty phenomenal. I'm one of which, but he, I don't know if I'm the most successful mentee he ever had. I'm certainly one of the most successful mentees he ever had.
Yeah, they're one and the same, you know?
He spent a great deal of time in his seminar.
That's real serious. Hey, this is one of the greatest books I got to. I picked this up. You got to follow me on YouTube. You heard? We out here making moves. Built to Last: Successful Habits of Visionary Companies. Jim Collins. If it wasn't for me reading this book, what he said right now would have went over my head.
Spiral staircase of our house with our two great Danes, Chewbacca.
You know what? We're gonna throw this on the list right here.
Licking the tears off my cheeks when I'm drinking out of Jack Daniels. I was into Jack Daniels quite heavily in those days. And I realized that I was almost 31 years old, and I hadn't reached 10% of the goal.
I'm not crying. I have nothing to cry about. Birthday. Fuck you. Live long and prosper.
I got to do something. I'd never been to seminar, but I had a nasty Mercedes in the driveway. Frank Lloyd Wright type house, 4-story house, spiral staircase, etc. And I said, what am I going to do? So I went to my first seminar.
Go to a seminar.
Around, not on the internet like a lazy fuck like you. But I looked around and I went to Psychology of Winning with Dennis Whaley, who had a similar background than I did. I believe he went to West Point, but he was an Army officer.
West Point Army officer.
A pilot during the Vietnam conflict. And I went to see him, and I was pretty impressed with what he said. And I went up to him afterwards, and I said, hey, you know, this is great stuff. Who taught you all this stuff? He said, well, my mentor is a guy named Jim Newman, and you ought to go see him. Well, unlike you, I took fucking action immediately. And I found out where the fucking next seminar was, and it was in Palo Mesa, California.
I'll see what it is.
And April of 76, is my memory serves me, and I went to the seminar, and my world changed. Because I realized that even though I had a lot of success, that I was not being measured against all human beings. I was measuring myself because of my background against other Hispanics. And it was hard. You were hard pressed to find another Hispanic that had a beautiful blonde wife. I'm not saying that. I mean, a beautiful blonde wife and 2 matching Mercedes in the fucking driveway. I immediately changed how I went from a micro thinker to a macro thinker. I started challenging myself, raising the bar and my benchmarks to include everybody in the world, not just Latinos. And the world changed for me. And but Release Your Brakes by Jim Newman is one of the books that I recommend. And I
Release Your Brakes by Jim Newman. Release Your Brakes by Jim Newman.
Because, you know, surround yourself with those
Release Your Brakes by Jim Newman.
Now, does that look like your friends? If you're the lead lion there, the males aren't the hunters, actually. The females are. And having been on a number of safaris and having actually tracked prides this year in Tanzania and in Botswana. But does that look like your group? No. Doesn't look like your group. I mean, in no way, shape, manner, or form. You know, maybe if we had a bunch of bunny rabbits running there.
Fuck. Snow leopards, where you at?
It's unbelievable, but again, you are who you hang around with, you know. And as Oprah Winfrey says, and which I talk about a lot, is that you want people with a like mind and that are better than you, smarter than you, more intelligent than you to get on your bus. And don't be so concerned about what you're going to do with those people, but you want to, you know, the joint brain is, you know, there's nothing the joint brain, collective brain, or brains can't overcome. And I give the example of the atomic bomb, the Manhattan Project, and they were put together and they were told, we need to develop a weapon of mass destruction, which they didn't call it that back in those days, in the middle 40s, to end the war in the Pacific. And they did. They didn't know if it was implode or explode, but they did. But if your team doesn't look like that, then you should, I won't say you should give serious thought, you should just fucking change. And we're talking about, you know, is this for you, and do I have what it takes? And it's one of my favorite comments by Jack Welch, former great CEO of General Electric, arguably the best CEO in the last 50 years, maybe the last 75 years. When he was asked about work-life balance, he said, there's no such thing as work-life balance. There are work-life choices, and you make them, and they have consequences.
Yeah.
I'll read it again. There's no such thing as work-life balance. There are work-life choices, and you make them, and they have fucking consequences. I added the fucking. Now, I'm asked that quite a bit. And before I found this quote by Jack Welch, I used to say, it's flat-ass no. There is no work-life balance. Eric Heidegger is 33 or 34 in size.
He has some major names.
Ted Turner saying you can get so much done, more done in a 24-hour day. Gates, Jobs, Turner again, myself, to name just a few, slept in their office.
Yeah.
When I expanded and got the big new offices, 44,000 square feet of offices for Great Western Resources, I built a big bathroom with a steam bath in it, and it was quite nice, and a big living room area where I could sleep on the couch. And it was like a little apartment. It wasn't so little, actually, as an apartment. But there are, you know, if you think that you're going to have work-life balance, then, you know, do you have what it takes? I know you have what it takes, but are you willing to make the sacrifices to pay price action? And the answer is probably no. Mm-hmm. So that means, is this really for me? And the answer is probably no, kids. And was Jack Welch the only one that said this? Was Dan Pena QLA since 1993 the only one that said this? The answer is no. Back in the day, back in the 20s, when the teens, actually, when Napoleon Hill first met Andrew Carnegie, and he was given the task of writing a book and interviewing 500 richest people that Carnegie knew of to write the definitive, I should say, step-by-step road to success and how you become successful. He went on and interviewed a lot of people. And of the 500 people that he interviewed, to have almost total peace of mind, and I equate total peace of mind with work-life balance. That's 100 years ago. We call it work-life balance now. There was only 3 people that had almost peace of mind, which means 497 out of 500 didn't. Now that's 99-something%, and the 3 were Burroughs, Edison, and Carnegie, until he became obsessed with giving all his money away. Now what does that tell you? 100 plus years ago, the 500 richest people on the planet didn't have any work-life balance. And when you think about Edison, his 10,000 experiments, and I'm not as familiar with the background of Mr. Burroughs, but I know plenty of stories by Henry Ford, etc., that there wasn't any. And yet you ask me quite often on my Facebook, you ask me on Twitter, you ask me on LinkedIn, not so much on LinkedIn, about work-life balance. And I keep telling you, but it's like the ask codes from the second slide or so. You go and do exactly the opposite, because that's not what you want to hear. It's not within your comfort zone. And especially this century, the last 12, 14 years, I mean, many of you kids have grown up with the idea that you're entitled, that somebody fucked up the world in the 80s and 90s, and you should be the beneficiaries of better things. Well, you're not. And it's been like this a long, long time. So again, is this really for you? If you're expecting, some sort of work-life balance, then it's not for you. It's not. And a few times over the years, more in the 90s and recently, kids have come up to me and say, Dan, I'm glad I went to the seminar because I realize it's not for me. Well, then you save yourself a lot of time and a lot of time and money. And the money you can replace, but the time you can't. Because this is you down at the bottom and your dreams and your goals at the other end of the road. And the road to success is always under construction, and there's always potholes and speed bumps. But these are some of the things that keep you from achieving your goals. Relatives, first of all, foremost, because how they raised you. And remember, they didn't do it on purpose, but they weren't trained to train high-performance people. Friends, well, you show me your friends, and I'll show you your future.
Peace to the
Pessimists, which quite often are your friends, because it's a lot easier to say it can't be done, and especially by people that haven't done it. And that's why the mentor system and the dream team system is so important, because you then find people that have done it, that know it's possible, that know you can succeed against the odds. And then there's, of course, your own guilt. Like my favorite is Jewish guilt. Although I'm not Jewish, but now they tell me they're on a tree that you might be Jews based on one of my
how you doing, God?
Bro, he was a Sephardic Jew from Spain who moved to
Dan Pinna, $50 billion man. I just
had a kid buying stock.
Knowledge,
but anyway, whether that's true or not, I like the Jewish guilt.
Let's
go. Best. Although there's Romanian guilt,
decisions, taking notes, taking fucking notes every fucking day. I'm taking notes. I want to know what makes greater people great. I'm great. What's it going to take to push me to the next step? For me, there's no fucking next step.
But we're guilty because we're insecure. We're guilty.
So what is it in life? It's taking notes. It's
ashamed to tell you.
Always being a student.
Play on that guilt.
$50 billion.
And
$50 billion.
Acquire stuff. From,
it takes money to feed the home. It takes money to start a school. It takes money to start a hospital. Fuck all the positive talk. There's no correlation of what the fuck you're gonna do with real life money. Consistency is everything. I'm gonna stay my ass right here and study as much as possible.
Let's make sure our kids are successful so they can support.
Wake up, do it again.
Well, I liken that to caveman days.
Back to these notes.
Before the shooting, I asked my staff.
Yeah, strong.
Agent here.
I'm on YouTube. Let me get the YouTube. I'm going to post the YouTube on the link. I'm going to get an Instagram picture. Salute to the fam.
The teeth all fell out.
I appreciate the hearts. That's real.
And grandchildren would eat the food for the old person, because he couldn't eat it anymore because he didn't have any teeth. I asked the kids here, would you chew the food of your parents or grandparents? I don't think I said grandparents, but of your parents, so they could stay alive.
Wow.
And they said no. Now, maybe they probably got guilt now because they said no. But first was out of their mouth.
Would you chew food to keep your parents alive?
Well,
with no teeth,
I find it easier to be successful and make money. And, as I said in London Real early on this year, when your parent has dementia, when your kid needs new teeth,
and then when you lose your people,
or you need glasses, or you need to put your mom in
networking is everything,
etc., etc.
That
costs money. All that stuff costs money.
See,
you can't buy that shit in the Zen.
Yeah, Zen, peace, love, none of that shit paid for bills.
We're still guilty.
None of that shit paid for vacation that you need from working so hard. Networking is everything. Getting to the right.
And of course, it's society.
And having somebody tap you on your shoulder and say, hey, I saw you before. Hey, I've seen you several times in the same location. Oh, I'm interested in what you do for a living. That's your opportunity to say, hey,
But we listen to society.
I am.
And there's a lot of naysayers that write books about, how you can't do this. Zuckerberg should have been able to do what he did, but he did.
Trading.
And last but not least is just your own innate fear.
Motivating.
You couple all those things, dealing with relatives, society, pessimists, and friends, and you have an inordinate amount of fear.
I'm amazed at every human being I come into contact with.
You know, once you reach the goal, let's
because you're here in my face and you could be dead, but you're not. So wow.
What are people going to expect
Isn't life amazing? Wow. Congratulations. You're alive another day.
Fear, guilt, relatives, society, pessimists, and friends all work against your dreams and fulfilling your goals.
Nah, goals.
Okay, so you've seen how the gauntlet that you got to go through from your dreams to your goals and all the things that are working against you. And basically why you had so much trouble fighting off those obstacles is because weak desires bring weak results. Just a small amount of fire makes a small amount of heat. Napoleon Hill said that. Is because of your innate weaknesses.
That's Napoleon Hill.
Or manifestation of how you've been raised. But notwithstanding how you've been raised, if you really, really, really want something in life, and you can think about certain things. Some of you really wanted to go out with this person. Somebody you really wanted to marry this person. Somebody, you know, I give the example. Some couples had trouble conceiving kids. And they don't just give up, do they? They go to fertilization doctors. They go, and not just one, sometimes they go to 50, 20, 30 of them.
Can't stop, won't stop.
They really go out of their way to try anything humanly possible. And it's something they really want. What if you approach life like that? Now, in some cases, they still can't conceive kids, so then they adopt and they become loving parents. My experience is often adopted parents are more loving than natural parents. That's a whole other story.
Wow.
But they really want that. So they really do everything.
So, all right, boom.
They don't give up the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, eighth, 15, 20
I'm gonna just go ahead and
pull up. You're trying.
All of these notes I found on his website.
Well, just imagine if you did that.
I'm gonna just start tapping them into the comments. So I keep a live record of everything I study on a daily. Peace, God.
Women say there's nothing strong in the dream of procreation.
So let's get it in.
I don't know that.
Get out of your comfort zone.
I do know for the most fact that women are normally my best mentees because they're tougher than men.
Yeah.
Their emotional baggage, although there's a lot of it, they're used to dealing with it. And I think that's because of the ordeal of motherhood, whether they're a mother yet or not. But when you think about not doing something, or you think about, well, I don't want to work today, or I don't want to work late tonight, equated to, you know, this analogy I've given you about couples trying to conceive. They don't give up. And we give up too easily. We just give up too easily. Because, you know, I want you to, and the people that have been successful, and the people that this is probably is for, do I have what it takes? Almost all of you do. Is this really what I want? I want you to make the big, bold decision. Because if you don't make the big, bold decision and you play it safe and you stay where you are, is that what you want? You wouldn't be listening to these podcasts if you wanted to stay where you are. You wouldn't be going to my site. We have about 40% of the people that come to danpenny.com are repeat devotees. And we have about 10 or 15% of the people that come to my site who come, a couple dozen times a month. And we have some that come over 100 times a month. Because reading everything on the site doesn't get you there. Yeah. You have to assimilate it. It has to be part of your normal regimen. You have to be indoctrinated with it. And so you do that by reading it over and over and over. I have a friend, God rest his soul, Terry Conrad, who was the third man to step on the moon as an astronaut. And he used to say that they repeat things, everything that's possible, every permutation, every possibility, and they repeat it countless times until it becomes rote memory. QLA has been my life for a long time. I was living the QLA model before I called it QLA, 40 years ago, ever since I graduated from school in 1967. I didn't call it that. But basically, losing and not accomplishing the mission was an option, but not an option. And the last 21 years, I've seen it, and I've lived it And so it's second nature to me. I mean, I answer questions, although I have these slides, I can make a similar talk without slides, but without cue cards. But it's part of my life. The most successful mentees that I've had over the last 21 years are the people that make it part of their life, where no is never an option.
No, it's never an option.
Completion of the mission is not an option. They just get it done. They just go fucking do it no matter what it takes. As long as it's legal, moral, ethical, you're not breaking any laws. But you want to stay where you are. If it doesn't bother you, if it doesn't make you ill, if it doesn't make you nauseous, if it doesn't make you uncomfortable, staying where you are in your current comfort zone, then this is absolutely fucking not for you. Don't waste your time. Fucking unsubscribe. Do us both a favor. I say sarcastically, you're taking up my bandwidth. I don't know if technically that's really true, but go do something else. And I would also recommend that you don't need to waste your time on a bunch of personal development success material. All you're doing is filling the void where you should be taking action. You're obviously then happy being where you are. You're brought into this life innocent. Then life happens. Most info given reference success is wrong unless you are lucky, which is questionable, enough to have a high-performance wealth creators as parents. This is an interesting topic. I say which is questionable. Napoleon Hill said, and I agree, the most fortunate man or woman, he didn't say woman, but most fortunate you are. We're brought into this life innocent. Then life happens. Most info given reference success is wrong unless you are lucky, which is questionable, enough to have a high-performance wealth creators as parents. This is an interesting topic. I say which is questionable. Napoleon Hill said, and I agree, the most fortunate man or woman, he didn't say woman, but most fortunate person is that person that is born into poverty. Now, there are certainly people that were born into greater poverty than I. And as I admitted to my wife here recently, she was poorer than I was growing up. And she felt that like a big success to get me to admit that. Because when we talk about vacations, my parents, you've seen on my site where my house used to be, Sally lived in a little caravan. Caravan is like a small mobile home. 4 people in about, let's say, 20 or 30 square meters. And she remembers that very vividly. And she remembers going to Blackpool. Her family was from Blackpool. And I've gone to Blackpool with her a couple times. And it's not one of the great vacation places on the planet, believe me. When we're watching these movies.
Number 3, develop.
Sally, had you ever been to Disneyland? Of course, they didn't have Disneyland. They had Disneyland, but she was in England. So
yourself.
And Disney World, Paris had been opened up afterwards. Have you ever been to any theme parks? He says, yeah, the one in Blackpool. Well, that's not exactly a theme park. And so I remember going to Disneyland in 1955, shortly after it opened. And my grandma took me. My dad was a cop, policeman. He pivoted into other careers, but at that time he was a policeman. He wasn't making very much money. And I remember him even taking us to Las Vegas once. And we stayed and we were watching a movie about Bugsy Siegel, who was really the founder of Las Vegas. And he had the Flamingo Hotel. Well, I remember what the Flamingo Hotel looked like in the 50s. And we stayed at the Hacienda Hotel, which is a little kind of like a Motel 6 hotel in Vegas, where the rooms at that time, if I remember correctly, were like $12 a night, and my mother, my dad, and I used to stay in one room. So I went to a couple places. So we had enough money to do that kind of thing once in a while. But Sally never had any of that, She used to go out with her grandmother. We used to beat her with a spoon, a wooden spoon, if she was out of line. And they used to go and they went to visit with a cousin at Blackpool, and they had, I think she told me, they had 1 or 2 pounds a day that they could spend on luxuries. And the luxury was normally a fish and chip dinner, and they'd split it, her and her little grandmother, and they'd get an ice cream. And they did that. That was their only meal for the day. Well, we had more food than that. And so having poor parents, Sally and I both easily qualified. But unless you had rich parents that understood what it was to train their children, their progenies to be high performance people, you would have much rather been better off having poor parents. Now, QLA is easier if you got some money to start with, but QLA was based on having no money, or as they say in Britain, no money. Because I had the reason people ask me, well, why did you develop the system, Dan, that you started with nothing? And I said, it's very simple, because I had fucking nothing, okay? Even though I had made some money before, I had spent it all, lost it all, whatever. So I had no money. I had $820. But we're brought into life innocent, and then life happens.
I'm about to go.
Again.
Wow, dumb on this.
So I have what it takes. Most of you out there do.
Ate the fuck out.
Is this really for me?
So
the answer, as we go through this presentation,
now I am.
More and more of you are either saying, "Hey, this is what this is what I want," or, "Well, I'm not so sure I'm willing to make those sacrifices." And if there's even a shadow of a doubt that you're maybe not willing to make those sacrifices, this shit's not for you. Self-confidence, is it nature or nurture? I'm often asked, and again, we're getting back to, do I have what it takes? Again, almost all of you, the answer is yes. Is this really what I want? And I believe that for most of you, it's not. But is self-confidence something that you're born with or is taught and developed? It's the classic nurture versus nature argument. Now, I certainly wasn't born this way. I have good genes. I look young, but part of me looking younger than I really am is the fact that I work so fucking hard at it. Okay, and I realize because I have pride in what I look like. Okay,
hey,
there's a big difference in my mind between pride and ego. A lot of people say that ego drives me. It drives me.
I need that English too.
Well, I can't speak for other high performance people, but I sure as shit can speak for myself. Pride drives me. I want to be the very best at what I do, no matter what. And that has even gotten stronger and stronger and stronger since I started coaching.
That's good for business. Capital A.
But your high performance attributes can be nurtured. But starting with what my parents did for me when I was young, no-nos, work ethic. It's a little hard for me to say without a smile on my face. Make sure your kids believe in Santa Claus as long as they can. And that's part of the nurture. Education wasn't in high priority when I was growing up because I was always getting in trouble. So I believe it doesn't hurt to have good genes, which I obviously got from my parents who lived to be around this planet a long time. But to nurture it. Speaking of nurture, we had a woman and her husband wanted to bring their 10-year-old, I might have mentioned this before, to the seminar, but I decided that the 10-year-old little girl was too young to come to the seminar because some of the things we discussed,
this man has
believe in Santa Claus still, which is
good,
but
he said set goals that you know
for her to hear some of the things
you will never achieve in your life.
But what
set goals
that you think and I don't want the attendees that would have attended with her to be stifled in their thought process because it's not fair to them because they're not being able to use the seminar for what it's worth. But you can nurture them, and I appreciate the idea that the woman wanted to bring the 10-year-old. It's a little too young, but I'm hoping that in another 3 or 4 years, 5 years, when she's 15, that she'll be able to do it. But you can nurture. You can. Because, we think, what do we see when we look in the mirror? Do we see a little pussycat? Most of you are pussycats. When I look at myself in the mirror, this is what I see. I see, Leo the lion, and I tell the story, which is true. It's not fiction. That I have a different outlook on things that would normally make you afraid. But we've all got the lion in us. I gave a session at the castle called "Release the Beast." Because some people say it's easier for me to be a beast, which the people that are saying it, I believe in my heart. Okay. And I do have a heart, and I do have blood running through my veins. That they're trying to say it as not such a complimentary thing. But I'm gonna turn it around and I say it is complimentary.
$1 billion.
And
I not all of us. To the bank and say I need US dollar.
Like what we look like.
US what? US dollar.
That's a whole other subject, and we'll talk about that in the seminar at great length. I'm not tall enough. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny, and my breasts aren't big enough. My breasts are too large. My ass is too big. I can go on and on and on and on. And but those that feel confident in themselves.
Damn, I might have to
see this now.
Because it's not letting me log in. Because
this was me.
It's too long.
I'm 13 years old.
15 characters.
It's in 1959. In March of 59. You see the date on the picture. It's also in my book. First and second edition of the first 100 million. That's me.
Another one for them zoos.
Under, remember the line?
Yeah, we got glad y'all win.
Remember the line? The pussycat's on the line. Picture.
Take out the R.
That's Jackie the lion. Jackie, I think, the 6th or 7th. That's the Metro Golden Mayer lion. As about a 2-year-old male. Crawling on my back, as you can see. My mother was holding the camera in horror. My dad was off to the left. And Melvin Kuntz, the guy that owns Jackie the lion, he had a place called World Jungle Compound. And during the Depression, my dad, who lived in East LA, Boyle Heights, the Mexican Beverly Hills, he got a lion pup somehow, and he raised it. And finally, the neighbors told him they had to get rid of the lion because the lion was killing cats and stuff. And so we went to the movie theaters and we went to Mexico there.
Well, you know what? Go open a Billion website, right? You heard?
Sold it or gave it.
Billion Wealth Academy.
Metro Golden Mayer, and that's how the lion is here. The lion.
Billion black
that was his great grandfather back in the 30s.
And let me log in.
And Melvin Kuntz had this place called, that's in Thousand Oaks, California, about 30, 40 miles outside Los Angeles. And as you can see, I didn't look afraid. I didn't look that I thought something was going to happen. Of course, lions that big can kill you. Lions that big can eat your head off. Or lions that big can do you a lot of goddamn damage. As Ziegfeld and Freud in Las Vegas showed about 10, 12 years ago when the big cat ate away part of his head. He lived, fortunately. But that's how I was raised. Now, most of you parents wouldn't allow your kid to do that. And now, because of the politically correct bullshit that we go through, most, for sure, none of the zoos, etc., allow you to do this. I was just fortunate, serendipity, that Melvin Kuntz, the nice man, when my father took me there, and we used to do a lot of things, go places that didn't cost any money, and we got to go to World Jungle Compound for no money. But when Sally and I were in Thailand last year, I jumped and fought with the big tigers, and I believe those pictures are on YouTube. And to this day, I'm not afraid. And my parents, inadvertently, by accident, were training me to be a high-performance person. Now, I certainly had no aspirations of ever being in the circus. I certainly had no aspirations of ever training lions. But look at that. I mean, and here we are. That's 1959. So I was almost 13 and a half, and now I'm 69. So 56 years ago, that was a training that I was going through. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do the same with your kids, but it's one of the reasons I'm not afraid of animals. It's one of the reasons I'm not afraid of big animals. And big animals are afraid of me. Big 200-pound Great Danes are afraid of me. Big mastiffs are afraid of me. Because they operate under the pack system, and they realize that I'm an alpha male.
You are? That's strong. So alpha male.
So there I was with a lion. Okay? Now, the fact that the lion didn't eat me or tear my arm off or whatever, and what that picture doesn't show is that after that picture was taken, the lion pushed me over on my side, and I'm rolling around on the ground with it. And my mother stopped taking pictures and panicked. But I was fine. I was fine. I wasn't scared or fearful for a moment. And part of the reason I believe I wasn't, as Albert Einstein said, and as depicted in this slide, the imagination will get you everywhere. And I was fantasizing about being Tarzan. I was fantasizing about being some foreign explorer.
We need to work on our imagination.
But logic will get you from A to Z, and imagination will get you everywhere. Now, little bit I know that later on,
imagination will get you everywhere. You're going to imagine that this floor is lava.
The guy that invented Tarzan.
Good stuff.
And Edgar Rice Burroughs' great-grandson. Oh, excuse me, great-grandson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Danny Burroughs.
Absolutely.
A little bit I know that I, hunt wild animals.
We have a tent? I want to work on imagination.
I stopped doing many years ago. Little that I know that I'd be run over by a goddamn buffalo. Little that I know that I do some of the crazy things with animals.
There you go.
But I'm sure that fact that I had been exposed to that lion at 13 years old.
Imagine you homeless. Who the fuck said you lived
my imagination
outside
of what was possible.
That's trauma.
And I didn't develop as
what is trauma?
Almost all of you.
Your brain comes from everything.
Reading and listening to this, the syndrome that you wanted to fit in. Most of the kids that I dealt with, and although I did suffer from it a little, and I say the word suffer, but they wanted to fit in.
Trust your gut.
Now, the only thing I wanted to fit in is I didn't want to get in a lot more trouble than I was already getting in. For a kid that was expelled 3 times from school, thrown out of school 3 times before he was 10 years old, is pretty significant. And that's why my parents moved shortly thereafter to a new neighborhood so I could get a fresh start, as it were, at the time. But I wasn't too worried about fitting in. And,
Mr. Penna, the day you see this, you're going to know.
Most of you have been raised, if not almost all of you have been raised with the idea to fit in. Don't, now, one thing, don't get in trouble, I understand that. But a lot of you have done drugs to fit in with your
Let
friends.
the fucking monster
And
out.
a lot of people tell me that you don't understand what peer pressure is.
People are so desperate to fit in.
Peer pressure in the barrio, in my judgment, is a lot tougher than peer pressure living in the suburbs to do drugs. But today, peer pressure is pretty fierce. But if you're desperate to fit in, then QLA is not for you. And if you're desperate to fit in, then I
fit in my own world. I fly high. I'm a fucking.
But if you're desperate to fit in the high performance model, then you've got to go no fucking farther down the road than this. You have found it. There's no gift edge panacea. There's no absolute guarantees. But I do know this. Every single person that has ever touched QLA has either decided it was for him or her and gotten better, or decided it's not for them and left it alone and hopefully went on to be happy. But this is not for the individual that is desperate to fit in, unless it's to fit in the high-performance model. Because, as Freud again said, intellectualization is the most reliable of defenses. What you all do, what your parents did, what your grandparents did, and what you have taught your children is to rationalize what you've done, where you are, and unfortunately, where you'll probably end up. And that's a defense mechanism. It's a coping mechanism. And that's unfortunate. And I believe it's nurtured It's not nature. In other words, you're not born with a DNA. You're not born with your ability to make excuses, alibis for your defenses. In the seminar at the castle, we spend probably 45 or 50 minutes going through a number of alibis, excuses that I've received in 21 years being a coach, mentor, high performance, potentially high performance people, and many of them ultimately becoming high performance people. After the first couple of slides, and I normally have somebody else read it, after the first couple of slides, they think it's going to be over. And then it goes on and on and on. And so several slides later, they realize that the excuses and the bullshit rationalization that you have for not being more successful are almost endless.
Fucking endless.
Almost endless. Because
endless.
It's the most,
rationalization, all the excuses in the world.
Is the most reliable of defenses, and it has been since Freud's day. Now, this is a great example. We showed this slide 2 or 3 times in the Castle Seminar. It's from one of my mentees who's on the Hall of Fame, from his mother, who I know. I happen to know her pretty well. She's a few years into the land, and we got to be good friends. They live in the United States. This is her son. Hi, honey. Please tell Dan hi. He is on my mind and my heart. He is so right about women, in parentheses, moms, fucking up, in parentheses, their children's lives.
Fucking mom.
Signed, Mom.
Yep.
Now, I've had grandfathers, daughters, granddaughters in the seminar. We've had a few times 3 generations, and we've had 2 generations on more than one occasion.
Oh, yeah.
And we've had brothers, sisters, twins, etc. And when we get around to this exercise in the seminar about how they got fucked up, and when the granddaughter turns and looks at the mother, and the mother turns and looks at the father or the grandfather, why we are the way we are. And this is not the only mother or parent that has written me. And it's not the only castle's attendee. She's never attended the castle. Her child attended the castle on several occasions.
People watch.
That the actual people in the seminar say that, they're fucking up their own kids now. Because several, many people that come to the seminar have grown children and have even grandchildren. And hopefully, when they go back to their regular lives, they'll never be regular again, and they'll never be normal. They'll learn from this exposure that, that's not what they want to do to their kids. But moms admit it. And moms normally admit it more readily than dads. So I'm not making this shit up, guys. And all our parents, my parents included, although they did a lot of real right things, I was fortunate, but I took those right things and I ran with them. I've talked to this guy's mom on many occasions about this, and she said, I know, Dan, it's all bullshit, but we did the best we could. And but I tell her, but the best wasn't good enough, was it? Mm-hmm. She says, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. Here's a cute picture, one of my favorites, and the seminar attendees go crazy when they see this. It's a picture of a psychiatrist talking to a bird, and it says, my mother used to puke in my mouth. How can you be normal if your mother pukes in your fucking mouth? Well, the analogy is well put, but that's, it's no wonder the kids get fucked up. And by the way, I get these slides from parents, mothers, daughters, grandchildren. You'd be fucked up too. What it's really saying is you'd be fucked up too if your mother puked in your mouth to live. Now this is from one of my weekly reports from a mentee that will remain anonymous. I have my weekly reports are divided into 3 sections: accomplishments for the week. There's breakdowns, but I'll make it simple now. Goals for the next week, and problems and challenges. This young person filled out the problems and challenges, and he's relating a conversation he had with his father. Talked with my dad yesterday. He was very unsupportive of my goals. The conversation was something similar to the scene of the movie Rudy, where the father tells the kid it's not for people like us. Remember, Rudy Rudica's dad's telling him, people like us don't go to Notre Dame. People like us don't play football at Notre Dame. People like us work at the such and such and support our families. I don't understand this kind of mentality.
First thing you said is move away from
I.e.,
your parents.
not to have high goals, the kid's writing to me. It doesn't make any sense. Lately, I've also had a strong wake-up realization that most people that I'm surrounded with and talk to are small-minded. I have to escape from the conventional life and put myself in a new setting where I want to be. Well, conventional wisdom is almost always wrong. This father is just relating what the mother in the slide previous to this about fucking up their kids. Here's a father who I happen to, not personally know, but I happen to know he's a well-educated engineer who's telling his son, who's also not as well-educated as his dad, but is a college university graduate, which doesn't make you successful, to have goals like he's got are not realistic and not for him. Now, why would any parent tell their kid that? You tell me. Again, you have what it takes. This kid does. And he's gone on to do successful things since he wrote me this. This is part of the year-long mentor program. Is it for you? For this kid, it's still for you. And he's fighting against his dad. His mom's more supportive, but his mom doesn't talk to his dad about it, as what occurs in many, many families. So he has what it takes, and he's showing he has what it takes. And is it for him? And he's going against the grain. He's going against his parents. Now, there's a lot more that happens subsequent to this. Being disowned, more or less, by his dad. But he wants this kind of success more than anything. So he's making that sacrifice. The question is, are you willing to make that sacrifice? That's the question. Here's a young person that was willing to make the sacrifice, and this was on online, in the Mail Online. It's an English newspaper. Yes, they only shot a body, but they cannot shoot my dreams. Pakistani girl shot by a Taliban reveals she wants to be prime minister as she misses out on the Nobel Peace Prize. She almost got the Nobel Peace Prize a year or two ago. Well, this is a young woman who's now, I think, 14 or 15, something like that. Yes, obviously, did she have what it takes? Absolutely. Is it for her? Absolutely. Now, most people that almost got their brains blown out or got part of the face shot away would, many people, I won't say most, would lose resolve. She's obviously made the pay price to action, and now she's under constant death threat. I wouldn't be surprised at all if she is the prime minister. But sacrifice are costly. You have what it takes? Yes. Are you willing to pay the price? Only you can answer that question. And here's a kid that answers the question. And I have to stand up to read this because it's a little far away. It's a kid floating on a balloon, being lifted up, and he's going like this, so fuck you. And it says, everyone just wants to be liked and accepted. The kids on the ground are saying that, except for Tim. Tim doesn't give a shit. Well, I'm one of the few people that that truly, when he says he doesn't give a shit what other people say or think, is telling me the absolute truth. I don't. And I haven't given a shit for a long time, but I've been blessed with high self-esteem for a long time. And and many of my mentees that started out that gave a shit, don't give a shit now. And that manifests itself in different ways in how you deal with your family, how you deal with your partners, your spouse, how you deal with your kids, how you deal with your employee. Should you have how you deal with your employer? Should you have an employer? Should you be on your own? This manifests itself in a lot of ways. And you don't have to do it this way, fuck you. But if you want to be a high-performance person, if you think that Jobs, Gates, Ted Turner, Donald Trump, Zuckerberg, care what you think, you're living in a dream world. They don't. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, can you make that transition closer to their and my end of the continuum where you care less? If the answer is yes, then this is for you.
Care less. All right.
I'm hoping, I'm praying,
you don't try to do, correct?
That you take action after you hear this podcast.
You're always going to be making
even more action than just listening to the podcast. And it doesn't mean
it's in progress.
You know,
it's in progress.
Thankfully,
I'm making, I'm doing, I'm working. Those are all systems I'm trying.
But avail yourself of all the opportunities on my website. Avail yourself of the free torrent.
Stretching.
Avail yourself of the tests, etc. Of all the YouTube information. There's a plethora of information about QLA and how to be a high-performance person.
QLA,
only you can
that's where we at today.
I've already told you have what it takes, and the answer is yes. But do you want this? Is this what you want for you? Are you willing to pay? It depends on whether you're willing to pay the price to action, the sacrifice.
Are you the best to ever do it?
I can't. Here's a young mentee that wrote me this earlier this year, who's on the Hall of Fame as well.
Surround yourself with people
and
who are
this is written to me. I'll start from the bottom up. I don't know why.
That's in your
I guess
mind.
it's the way they come on Twitter.
Study.
December 24th.
When you look outside the window,
I'd ask
see
him,
nothing that
who
you
taught
really
you all this
see in your mind.
Gotta hear it, huh? Get my most important skills while being kick-ass mentored by Dan Pena. Again on December 24th. Dan Pena, this is one for your book. Let's see. The teachings of Dan Pena made me $50 million hard cash. January 1. It's good. It's Dan Pena fashion. All 2014 goals are defined in writing and between audacious and seemingly unreachable. Topping it up once again. He does his goals as I taught him between at the end of the year. And then on January 3rd, got to admit, at 12 years later, I'm still using the weekly report system that Dan Pena hit me with, reporting to myself for over 8 years. He's been out on his own for 8 years. And he's made a lot more than $50 million, but that's a $50 million hard cash he put in the bank. He's been involved in hundreds of millions in projects, and he's built up a nice net worth. And today, I believe he's he'll be 38 this year. 38. He's 38. He just turned 38 this year.
All right, bless.
And
blood, sweat, and tears. Blood, sweat, and tears.
And he has no formal education. And he was an entrepreneur since he's 16. Comes from a little town, small population. And my advice to him, he had to leave where he was. And not only did he leave the town, the country, he left the continent. And he is now in the Western Hemisphere, being very, very successful. And I'm proud as hell of him. In fact, I saw him about a year ago. One of the places we stopped off on one of our trips, Sally and I hadn't seen him in a few years. Hadn't seen him 5-6 years. And he was doing terrific, and I'm proud as hell. But he's still using the weekly reporting system, but he had to get out of his comfort zone, and I told him he had to get out of his comfort zone if he wanted to do the things he wanted to do.
Got to get out your comfort.
I just gave you an example of a guy, a young man, who had to leave a small town, had to leave his family behind, didn't have to do anything, but he wanted to follow the QLA. And not only left the town, the country, the continent, and it's very successful. Here's another example, coincidentally from the same continent, neighboring countries. But his reaction was incredible. I got all I wanted to have Okay, I gave him as well something, but all at the end, I will profit more. I hate to tell you this over and over again, but your QLA stuff is like magic. You can play with all these guys, and this one attended an Ivy League school with a summa cum laude, Bing Bang. I don't know what Bing Bang means, but I do know that this guy was a Ivy League grad. In fact, he's a TV personality. He's very famous. And this kid that took advantage of him in a legal, moral way, only has a high school education, no university, but was at one time a world-class athlete, and his athletic career when he blew his knee out. But he says it works like magic. And he doesn't want to tell me again.
Work hard.
But that's fine.
Work harder. And keep fucking working. It don't stop.
That doesn't read a lot
Come on, it don't stop. Let's go.
And because I've convinced him that taking action is what's important. The first kid was a graduate of the Castle Seminar, and this kid has been to the Castle Seminar a few times. And as compared these two, with the previous kid, who his father told him that being a high-performance person wasn't for him, it was unrealistic, and he succeeded in spite of what he was told by his parents. The kid, the slide before this, that had accumulated the $50 million in cash, his parents were supportive, but he had to leave his parents because his parents weren't in the business of training high-performance people. And this young man, who was a world-class athlete, his parents were supportive when he was competing at a world-class level. But he is in the process of making his quantum leap beyond the wildest expectation of his parents. So I'm giving a couple of examples. One with not supportive, one with medium support, and one with tremendous support. And they've all had relatively the same results in that they busted out of their comfort zone and they're going for the gold, pun intended, for the world-class part. Now, again, do we have it in us? The answer is yes. Are we willing to make the sacrifices? Is this really for me? I'm going to go through a comparison. If you're 10% or 5% of the things, I'm allegedly infamous for, which is called the Dan Pena brand, you'll be highly successful. People often tell me, Dan, I can't talk like you. My communication skills are nowhere near as good as yours. I don't have the charisma you do, etc. Okay. Well, I've developed this over the years, but if you're 5% as good as I am, these are some of the things that you'll be able to accomplish. I've created through my mentees and my devotees since 1993 over $50 billion in equity and value. The story from the barrio to the castle, which is since 1984, I've been in the castle 30 years now.
I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read his
famous now, and in fact, as we speak,
on the whole ride, on the train ride down there, we'll just go back and forth on the
reality show, possible release in my book, possibly a documentary, and some other pretty neat things. Because of the dedication I had and the sacrifices that I was willing to make, I was able to create $50 million in revenue my first year in business. This is pre-internet. When I had one employee, a fax machine, a leased fax machine, a phone in the spare bedroom of my house. That $50 million is worth equal or equivalent to about $100 million in today's dollars. I turned $820 into $450 million. Now about $1 billion in 8 years in a collapsing market. Again, this is pre-internet. My favorite, and it's not everybody's favorite, but turning $60,000 into $65 million, now about $100 million pre-internet in 100 days is pretty goddamn amazing, and matches up to anybody's standards.
First to obtain an option
not only
to purchase something
on a major stock exchange. which is one of my favorites. In some of the things that I've just listed here is why they call me the financial wizard or financial magician. I've been a super high performance person in 6 decades. I've been involved in 700 transactions all over the world, either as an agent, a principal, advisor, etc. I've done $25 billion in individual deals, not part of the 50 billion I created. So I've been part of those 700 deals were part of the 25 billion. I've got over 20 years experience coaching and mentoring. I've managed leading managers to CEO of over 25 companies in 7 years, namely Klaus Kleinfeld. I have the only week-long castle experience in his castle, which is his own home. Not being braggadocious, but although I just gave my Cobra to my son on his 30th birthday, but I've been driving Cobras, Bentleys, Aston Martins, and chauffeured limousines for over 30 years. I haven't been driving, been driven around, I should say. I have the only year-long free mentor program. Why do I give it free? Because I'm not making a living off of you guys. I give it
a year-long free mentorship
program. I make the seminar costly, although I don't think it's costly because I haven't raised the price.
I'm on his website now.
But I want you to have the pay price to action. I want you to have skin in the game, and that's why I initiated the PVP penny payment plan. I initiated and invented however you want to call it, QLA, which is Dream Team, Success Fees.
That's the seminar. You may
person in 6 decades. I've been internet
join in. Your conversation is valuable.
And matches up to anybody's standards. I was first to obtain an option.
I ain't doing this for comments. I'm doing this for this for history.
Which is one of my favorites.
Come along, good for them.
Some of the things that I've just listed
for
is why they call me the financial wizard or financial magician.
Whoever's you're making new friends. You ain't got no friends, huh? So you're making goddamn like-minded pack leaders. You're a pack leader, lead your pack. You're a pack leader, lead your pack.
Agent, a principal, advisor, etc.
I'm just the head of this motherfucker.
I've done $25 billion in individual deals, not part of the 50 billion I created.
I just want everybody to make money.
Those 700 deals were part of
I want that 50 billion.
I've got over 20 years experience coaching and mentoring. I've managed managers to CEO of over 25 companies in 7 years, namely Klaus Kleinfeld. I have the only week-long castle experience in his castle, which is his own home. Not being braggadocious, but although I just gave my Cobra to my son on his 30th birthday, but I've been driving Cobras, Bentleys, Aston Martins, and chauffeured limousines for over 30 years. I haven't been driving, been driven around, I should say. I have the only year-long free mentor program. Why do I give it free? Because I'm not making a living off of you guys. I give everything free. I make the seminar costly, although I don't think it's costly because I haven't raised the prices in about 15 years. But I want you to have the pay price to action. I want you to have skin in the game, and that's why I initiated the PVP penny payment plan. I initiated and invented however you want to call it, QLA, which is Dream Team, Success Fees, meaning lawyers and accountants will come on board for success fees at the culmination of your first transaction. Step by step, no money startup system, memorialized in the book, Your First 100 Million. I've mentored people like Mikey the Pizza Boy to be a movie maker in 6 years. I've had thousands of businesses started and CEOs created. I've mentored CEOs, athletes, Olympians, doctors, lawyers, PhDs, specialists, spiritualists, idiots. I've mentored them all. And they're all the same. They can all achieve.
Oh, do your thing, Jen. Do your thing. We out here studying. I ain't going nowhere in a long time.
The first edition and the second edition.
Taking these notes.
The only manual that I know, only template, where it takes you from zero to wealth.
Taking notes.
Starting with no money.
I'm posting all the notes.
Again, the things that I've talked about so far on this Dan Penny brand slide, they call me the financial magician, financial wizard. Some of these things, when I write them down on a piece of paper or slides, I'm surprised that I was able to do them, but I know I did it. After 40 years, I still feel responsible If email is not returned promptly,
got
this is really important. High performance people to get back to you. It pisses me off, although I understand it. And people say, Dan, thanks for getting back to me so soon. What the fuck do you think?
Yeah.
You know, I still feel responsible.
Yeah.
I still can't accept failures as an option after 40 plus years.
You know?
I have multiple Q&A.
There's a lot of people got us fucked up. They think that rich people don't want to help people.
All my awards for Q&A product are based on
about people who are successful. Get the fuck away from poisonous, toxic relationships where everybody's like, oh, you could never do that. You couldn't trade stocks. If you trade stocks, you're going to lose all your money. You don't have no money to begin with. I lose all my money, it's going to be a normal day. I'm used to being broke. I want to know what it is to be wealthy.
I never ever forget small details.
I want to be well.
Some of you will know that I can remember stuff years
back. All that philosophical shit.
You
are. You love yourself. I love myself so much that I want to see myself dripping in fucking gold. Everything. Gold drawers. I don't even wear underwear and I want gold drawers. I don't wear socks. I want gold socks. I wear socks.
Many years ago, and they sued me in federal court. I've been run over by an Australian water buffalo, part of my brand. I bungee jumped at 69 years old, and I don't know, as part of my brand because I'm a risk taker. I also fought off a hostile takeover bid on the London Stock Exchange. Now, if anybody that you write, the books you're reading have done any of these things, I'd be highly surprised.
Video. Look at what I'm showing.
Let alone all of them, or let alone most of them. But if you're in a conference, just a crack,
so many brodies at the
you'll
house
be
not
a
paying
big
attention to
time
what you can do with your time.
Fucking dude.
You can make a decision right now. You can watch something. You can hear something.
The reason why, you know, you have it in you. Yeah. When I was growing up, not too many people thought I had it in me. My mom believed me in anything I did.
Bro, his mom.
But was I willing to make the sacrifices? You know, based on if it was going to be based on my athletic ability. I had mediocre athletic ability, and whereas my dad was an all-state, all-American sports guy in 2-3 sports, I mean, maybe this is why I'm compensating by proving that I could be something that he wasn't in this area. Yeah. But the bottom line is, you know, is this kind of life for you? Because every single one of these things I've listed in the brand.
I'm going to go double up on
a lot of sacrifice. Some took massive sacrifice.
One of the things he said was...
They get run over by a water buffalo, which probably is lesser
I got a whole lot of that.
And, you know, sacrifices in time.
So it's going to be the next step.
You can see the right-hand tallest blue line is me in terms of 15 hours a day for 50 years. I'm about 130 years old in experience. The other line is 40 hours a week. 5 days a week.
Years
for 30 years, which is normally the normal work life of the people that are watching this. And you can see there's a massive difference. There's, you know,
like a fucking balloon ball.
100 years in difference in work experience. So, am I that smart? Well, I'm pretty smart, but I'm not Einstein. And it's the fact that I've worked all these hours. And it's like these podcasts.
Yes, here we go.
I can do the podcast like everybody else.
Check it out.
Unedit them. No visual aids.
Yeah, bro. I was out there looking young and angry as well. Still in the ROTC.
We have lights. We have cameras. All this costs money, which is not a big deal, but it takes time. Plus, once we do one of the podcasts, then we have to edit it. My creative team is editing it. Then I have to view it. We view it together. So for every hour that I'm in front of the camera, I'm a couple hours at least editing it and watching it. The other pod guys don't do that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those pod guys. No, but I take things seriously because I want to be the best, you know, I can be.
He's
and it's one of the reasons, you know, I'm new to the podcast. You know, top of 1 or 2 categories for iTunes for podcasts. But I do everything like this, and I require you as a mentee to do the things. So, do you have it in you? Absolutely yes.
25 seconds left. I'll be returning.
Question, and perhaps, hopefully, you can answer it better after you've seen this podcast. You can throw me to the wolves, and I'll return to leading the pack. Once you take on the role of being the leader of your path, the people that you're going to put on your bus to be a high-performance person, then you too will be the leader of the path. And I can't emphasize it enough. I mean, all these things are possible, and you can make them probable, because just because it's possible that, you know, I could have been an astronaut. I'm actually too tall, too big to be an astronaut, because the capsules are too small. But let's say that I was smaller, and that was my goal, and that I was willing to devote sacrifice. You know, people train 12, 14, 16 years in the early days, just for a couple of spins around the planet, which is pretty spectacular. And in more recent years, not just a couple of spins, but a few people went to the moon. And I was privileged to know one of the gentlemen that was the third person to walk on the moon. But those are pretty spectacular lifestyles. But just think of all the sacrifices they made. And then when they're to do it together. So for every hour that I'm in front of the camera, I'm a couple hours at least editing it and watching it. The other pod guys don't do that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those pod guys. No, but I take things seriously because I want to be the best, you know, I can be. And it's one of the reasons, even though I'm new to the pod game, you know, I'm top of one or two of the categories for iTunes for podcasts. But I do everything like this, and I require you as a mentee to do the things. So, do you have it in you? Absolutely yes. Is it for you? Only you can answer that question, and perhaps, hopefully, you can answer it better after you've seen this podcast. You can throw me to the wolves, and I'll return to leading the pack. Once you take on the role of being the leader of your path, the people that you're going to put on your bus to be a high-performance person, then you too will be the leader of the path. And I can't emphasize it enough. I mean, all these things are possible, and you can make them probable, because just because it's possible that, you know, I could have been an astronaut. I'm actually too tall, too big to be an astronaut, because the capsules are too small. But let's say that I was smaller, and that was my goal, and that I was willing to devote sacrifice. You know, people train 12, 14, 16 years in the early days, just for a couple of spins around the planet, which is pretty spectacular. And in more recent years, not just a couple of spins, but a few people went to the moon. And I was privileged to know one of the gentlemen that was the third person to walk on the moon. But those are pretty spectacular lifestyles. But just think of all the sacrifices they made. And then when their astronaut career ended, what did they do? They were retired colonels or captains in the Navy, captains the same as a full colonel. What did they do? And then they had to, you know, somehow figure out how to eke out a living, because the retirement benefits of a colonel or a full captain or full colonel in the military aren't that great. But as I tell people at the end of the seminar, the council seminar,
working hard,
and the people that have gone through all the material free and it's on my website all the content. Once you've gone through all that material, you can't say ever again, I don't know how to do it. That's the excuse that people use. Okay, I tell you how to get a mentor. I tell you how to get a dream team. I make it step by step, very factual. And then if you don't do it, you have made a conscious decision not to do it. Heretofore, you made an unconscious decision not to be more successful or not to be a high-performance person. You can't do that anymore. Without fear, there can be no courage. Yeah, sure. Early in my career, I was afraid of some of the things I did. Not too many. But without fear, there can be no courage. And I continue to try to, the best I can, and that not only means 100%, it means 100%. I accomplished virtually almost everything I set out to. Some of the things that I set out to do don't get accomplished, not for the lack of trying.
We're going live on
reality show and the opportunities I have in the UK and potentially in the U.S. Are pretty spectacular. Because I'll be able to spread the word to more people. And for that, again, I thank Brian Rose for giving me the opportunity.
We got the YouTube on live. We're getting everything we need to be studying.
Without that, I would have overlooked, because I had already overlooked, the medium of podcast. I don't know why. It's just like when
it's all in the fucking
Steve
mind,
Ballmer
bro.
was
Unlearn what our terrible parents taught us, some wild shit.
This year at Oxford,
re-educate yourself into learning what the fuck the wealth is.
Asked, he said that we were two trick ponies.
Dan Pinner,
why weren't you a third trick pony?
$50 billion man.
And he said, I can't answer that. I don't know. All I know is I was only a two trick pony. Well, some could say that Great Western was one trick. It wasn't a one trick pony. I had two prior successes, quantum successes. Geometric successes, but not as big as Great Western. And then subsequent to that, I trained and mentored and coached many geometric successes. Many of which I mentioned, some of which, because they don't want to know the variety, I can't mention.
Learn these names. I'm stressing myself.
I'm working myself. They die, but as a few of them die off, I'll be able to mention a couple more. But without fear, there can be no courage, guys. And there I was earlier this year.
If you lead the pack, you lead the pack.
Exhibiting
it's a lonely road, right?
Some courage, some people
Eagles fly the fuck alone.
I don't know how much courage it took for me to
and besides, you don't ever see a fucking eagle fly. It just looked like that.
A bunch of guys standing around.
It just looked like that.
A bunch of guys standing around saying, dude, we're gonna jump, dude. But I went with the wind and fucking died down a little bit. Well, in the meantime, I jumped. To the best of my knowledge, I was the only motherfucker that jumped that day. And I was old enough to be their father, if not their grandfather, to most of the kids. But there I am, flying over New Zealand. Couldn't get my legs straight because I got a bad hip, artificial hip. Couldn't get my arm straight because I got an artificial shoulder. But I'm still fucking jumping. That's the point. I took action, and I was willing to make the sacrifice. And by the way, when I hit the bottom, it hurt a lot of parts of my body. But I did it anyway. Didn't think about it. Only subsequently did I find out, because I didn't Google it, your retinas can get knocked out at my age, and all kind of shit could happen. But I didn't think about that. I just took action. And at the time, I didn't think about the metaphor quantum leap.
What happens? He has a story.
Believe me, that came after the fact. I'd like to say I was smart enough, or my people were smart enough, but all that came.
So you ain't win the lottery, but your eye gonna pop the fuck out?
So I took a big risk earlier this year at age
and now
69, and I did it by jump. Later on that day, I was getting fired up. And by the way, the one thing that I didn't mention is I also had
and you can sell that
torn Achilles.
Because everybody else is gonna sit on it. The consumers sit on there.
I was limping.
Ass and do nothing.
When I walked
they pay for other people's
the tower. But later on that day, what I did
was
I was feeling fired up. I went hang gliding.
And it felt on television.
And
you were you spent 30 years in the gym.
2,000 feet
you'd be
up
them.
the mountain to get up.
That's it.
And here I'm climbing up to 2,000 extra 2,000 feet from where that thing took off.
Let's get this meeting going.
With a
get Zoom on the way.
Slightly torn Achilles.
So we're gonna put this on pause.
Hurt a lot. I didn't
and
we'll
be tapping in
because I've always considered myself
as with more live information. How to be the wealthiest you, the wealthiest you.
Now I'm not talking about being in the middle.
Homeschool background, setting up
standard deviations from the mean.
Man, live your passion. I'm a scholar. I'm a student. I just want to die the smartest goddamn book. I want to read every book on the planet. There it is. I'm going to read every book ever. And that means all the books coming out. So I need audio books.
10% would be 700 million. 1% would be 70 billion.
To be uploaded into my
1%
brainstem.
10% would be 7.5 million. So that's who I'm training and coaching, who I want you to be. And it's not all about money. It's, the top of your field. If you're going to be a priest, be the best priest. If you're going to be an artist, be the best artist. If you're going to be whatever you're going to be all you can be, as Joe Batten told me many years ago, who was the mentor
poor people and their poor thoughts.
Rossborough, and my former business partner, a good guy, told me, y'all, you can be in that
shit, but shit
terminology came up with phrase, he came up with the United States Army.
Let you keep that on. That's why I downloaded Zoom on the iPad.
Uh-huh.
Because then you can just put the iPad in between the two laptops and still go live.
And still go live?
Because you
I'll say what?
You multitask all the time anyway.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything on the computer but interacting with the people on the computer. So I can put Zoom on here and just prop it up against the wall and have Billion in between there.
Let's do that. I'm gonna put Zoom on. I'm gonna put YouTube on this laptop so that I will go to YouTube Creator Academy in due time. But right now, I want to be able to use this to trade while I watch Zoom, while I watch Billion work, so I can trade and start exercising all the trade.
Give me the meeting ID number.
Meeting ID number. The meeting ID number for this meeting will be, as I check my Gmail, I'm learning about moving averages. And here we go. Email Dr. Kizan. Got to write in his L. Here we go, right here. And I'm going to show you the email so as to boom. Up there. Where we at? We live and we on point. What's up, guys? I'll say word. Would like to access your microphone.
I had already turned that on.
Well, no, it's asking.
Oh.
I'm gonna say yeah because I need to find home. Okay. So we all posted up. Freddie, ready? Hey Google, Bluetooth pairing. Let's put this back on Bluetooth.
Look for the device called living room speaker.
I had to do slide at the bottom of the screen.
Slide at the bottom of the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Because that's the only Bluetooth that's ever been paired to the iPad. So it'll automatically connect to that. It should only automatically connect to that. Because my Bluetooth was cut off. I need to throw that other one away.
What Bluetooth?
The red one.
The red one?
My small one.
Oh.
So that's just plugged in. And plus that's better anyway. I can just put one in there.
Oh. So yeah. Go over well.
Here. Did you put your tag in the meeting as BillionDollaZoe so it correlates with your IG?
Uh-oh. My device is connected. Hey Google, Bluetooth pairing.
All right, to connect, open Bluetooth settings and look for the device called living room speaker.
Yeah.
That's on the audio. How can I test this?
I just heard it, but then you click so fast.
just wait for more people to get in and we're going to get started.
All right. So we'll rock with it as. Oh, wait a minute. What's the audio like? Well, study, putting this, getting ready for the session so I can trade what I see being traded, operate how I see them operating, how the family move. You move, I move. When I move, you move. When we do that, goddammit. We're going to put this on hold. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we get up from return of the doctor, I'm taking your advice.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of this month.
Mm-hmm. 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 You're going to get tired of chewing shit. You fucking vegan.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to get tired of chewing. It's like, is it easier on my teeth? Plants. It's like, you start thinking, why do I torture myself, man? Mm-hmm. I'm so excited, and I just can't. I know. Some people good shit. I want my ticket. Friday, 5 p.m. Oh, it's so hot out there. It's so fire.
We should be good now. So does anyone have any immediate questions about the software or anything?
Questions on the software? Not at all. I'm involved right now.
Or if you guys can hear me, let me know. I can hear you. For sure, I can hear you.
I have a couple questions just to get this party started. Yeah, get the ball rolling.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not raising my hand and jumping. Oh, there you go.
It's very straightforward. Also, if you read the manual, shows you everything, how to set up.
Manual. I need manual.
So first, you just pick a market, and you want to look at your key when you pick up the market. So let's try. Right now, let's do corn. And you check your key. And you look at the day margin and the maintenance margin. The day margin is how much you need to trade in a daily capacity, and the maintenance margin is how much you need to hold the trade past close.
Oh, you know what?
Close time is, in this case, 11:20 a.m. Pacific time. So if you hold the trade past this time, then you would need $800 in your account. But if you close the trade before then, you'd only need 440. So this is a relatively cheap market now that we're looking at it. So then we can choose our time frame to trade. And we can look at we can either go a 5 minute.
When it's
And you notice this area is kind of choppy right here, or like spotty. You don't see much candles that are whole. So usually what you want to do here is increase your time frame. It'll look a lot better. So this one looks a lot better right here. And then you would go on your autopilot. And since we recommend to start with the moving average, we switch our indicator to moving average. So if you want to open the moving average, all you need to do is right-click the chart overlays, and then click moving average. And then you want to find the good moving average for the chart. So all you do is you try to clean up these arrows as much as possible, the white arrows. So what you do is increase your moving average period. You just gotta go back and then check all these arrows. Because each of these are trades, so if there's a lot of them, you're just gonna be chopped up sideways, and you're gonna take a lot of trades that are unnecessary. You wanna make sure that price is staying most of the time in one side of the line, the purple line. And this one looks pretty clean right here. I mean, there's this areas right here where it's a bit more choppy, so you just keep increasing or finding a cleaner one. So this one I like.
You can download apps on your
We can run with the 800.
PS4. Is Zoom one of the apps you can download on?
We'll have to check and see.
What was that?
We'd have to check and see. It may be. It could have been recently.
You just don't want there to be a lot of arrows, because those are
not the last time I've seen it.
So if it phases down, it's going to take you into a sell or a short. And go facing up, it's going to face into a long. So right here in this most right side, you would notice it took you into a sell right here, and then it immediately flipped you up, and now it looks like it's about to put you in a sell again. So that's 3 trades right there, and usually when you're live trading, that's fees, and you're just gonna get chopped up with those fees.
Right, so if there's not that many arrows, then you want to make sure like at least it's going in the direction that you need for it to go in order to be in profit.
Yep. And now you want to find a good time. You want to find a good time to enter the market. And usually we start out by drawing from the open time right here to the close time. So all you need to do is find 5 p.m. in this case, and just keep drawing all the way to 11:20 right here. So this one would have broke you even, or if you're trading live, you would have lost fees. Right here again, 5 to 11 is 4 ticks. You just keep going back and keep doing this, and then see if there's a good pattern and if this is a good time to enter the market. This one would have went up 30 ticks for you.
5 to 11.
Somebody asked,
when you hop in the market.
What numbers are you
For corn?
On the screen for the moving average?
Maybe the period. So these numbers right here in the period, it's just the average price in that specific period. So this is a 5 bar moving average. So it'll take the average of the last 5 bars. And this one's 800, so it'll do the same. That's the reason why it's all the way down right here, because it took the average of the last 800 bars, and that's a lot of bars.
And it's like 511 right now.
That's a good one.
So now you just want to put it in your time restraints, 5 p.m. to 11:20.
Pull it up. Pull Zoom up on a laptop.
The open time to the close time right here.
Oh, that's still up.
That's it. You went back and saw if this is a good time to enter. You just have to keep going back and back. And this is your back testing.
So I can get the vibe so you can hear
See how it did.
You know?
Based on what data you have.
Fuck is he waiting?
You want to draw to the highest peak and all the way to close.
The highest peak all the way to close.
Just to get a better visualization of what the market does on a daily basis. So right here, I drew it to the peak of that specific day. So it was 21 ticks. And then also draw an arrow all the way to the closing time.
Oh, it's already here. Right?
Check Raj.
That's 13 ticks. Right here is 5 p.m. And also when the candles are filled, like here the red candle is filled, that's a bearish bar, so you draw your dollar calculator from the top, because that's the open price. And when the candle is open or hollow, you would draw it from the bottom. So that's a bullish candle, and the open is at the bottom. Here it's 11 ticks, and you just draw again to the close. Yep. And then after, since it kind of looks like a good time, so you just have to keep going back, and it takes quite a while.
Save that password in there.
But you need to do it to make sure it's a good time to enter. And if it's even profitable to enter at that time. So this box on the right side, enter trend-based market order immediately, is the forced entry. So all that does at the next bar after 5 p.m., so 5:15, since we're trading a 15-minute chart, it'll enter you into a trade based on the moving average. So if the bars are above the line, it's going to place you into a long. And if it's below, it'll place you into a short. So if we determine here at 5 p.m. we want to enter the market.
Fuck out of here. It's actually a.m.
You would check this right here. It'll enter you at 5:15. So actually you'd have to draw your bar ahead. Right there. And I did one price bar before close. This is just so that it takes you out before the closing time. So it'll close you 1 bar before the close. That's if you only want to stay within the day margin right here, which is $440. But if you don't mind holding it past close, then you can just leave it unchecked. Then usually we'll leave this alone, the entry strategy. Then right here we go on the exit strategy. We determine how much we want to risk for a trade. So this is where we determine that at our stop style. So to determine the best stock depending on the market, you would find a pattern. I mean, here it just went for us, but you would find some trades where
so ticks is 10.
It would go against you before going in your favor. So like right here, you would determine how much it went against you because you would have been in a sell. So right here, it went 10 ticks against you. And going all the way to close.
I'm learning.
Actually went more right here. So when 11 ticks against you. So based on this, you want to make your stop probably a bit bigger than 11, probably like 15 or something. You just want to see a pattern when you keep going back. You'll notice a move where the market goes against you. And also you have to base it on how much you actually want to do based on your monetary situation. And then your limit, this is where you determine how much is the maximum amount you want to gain per trade. And we usually want to make it at least 2 to 1. That means double how much you want to risk so that it covers your losses. When you get on losing streaks, the moment it hits your limit, you can cover 2 right away. You also want to base it on the average movement that you see that goes in your favor. So right here, it looks like 30 is a good average that it goes.
Every 15 minutes.
So you put in here 30.
Oh, wow, that's lovely. I love what I'm learning
here. Is a 2 to 1 reward to risk ratio. And then here's our max trade lockout. This is just
I'm about to do it. I'm about to do it.
You want it to take per day. We usually keep it at 1 for this particular strategy, so that in the case that, let's say this area right here, you were short at this, for this example, you were short and it went against you, and then it started going up and it made an arrow. It would have
like the website pull up.
You would have taken the loss and you would have went long.
Fast.
Do you have any questions so far?
And when it comes on, just remember the audio.
If you put 2.
Was that again? Can you repeat it again?
Yeah, so if you had 2 trades right here in this day, say here, it would have taken both of these. It would have taken into a short and taken you a long because you had 2 trades. All it is just you're telling the software how much you wanted to trade every day. And just keep in mind that increasing this is also increasing how much times you're willing to risk this 50 ticks. So if both of them loses, you'll probably lose double this.
And also, when you force entry into a trade, if you take 2 trades or whatever,
that's actually 3. Yeah.
You're actually gonna take 3 trades. So if your max is 1, then you force entry is gonna take 2 trades.
Yep, that's 1 is just when the arrow comes up, it'll take that, and that's it. After the forced entry, because it doesn't count your forced entry at 5 p.m. It doesn't count that trade. So we put it at 1 to make sure that when it actually flips and reverses the trend, we get into that.
It's pulled up on my phone already, but it just keeps loading.
All right, put the volume up on yours.
That depends on your indicator. Like you use the moving average, it'll go long. If you're above the line, it'll go short if you're below the line.
All right.
That's why you have to find a good setting for your indicator. This is usually the bare bones of what we build right here. We just determine how much we want to risk, how much we want to make. And we find a good setting, then we find a good time. and then we enter the market.
And studying.
Then your jump stops is how much you want to protect. So let's say if right here it went 29 ticks for you, and since our limit is 30, if your limit is 30, you still would have, it would have just closed you right here, and you wouldn't have made. That's why we said it. Hello?
Sorry, I'm trying to mute this. It's my first time using the phone.
All good, I got you. If you don't have a jump stop in this particular situation where it went 29 ticks for you, you still could have lost your 15 ticks if it went all the way down. That's why we set up a jump stop to protect some profit. So to find a good jump stop, you usually just you draw a dollar calculator each peak that happens. So right here it went 10 ticks for you, and then it started dropping down a bit. So right here, so take out this 13. So you notice here it went 10 ticks for you, then it dropped all the way to 5 ticks from your entry. So you probably don't want to set your jump to protect 5 ticks when it goes 10 ticks. Because it's too aggressive and you'll get cut out right here before it went 21 ticks for you.
Hey, but you get put out of a trade in that same candle if your jump stop is tied to the point where when it's fluctuating in there and it comes down and start drawing down in that same candle, can't you get put out that trade?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, if like let's say here 13 and the jump stop was like 11 right here, you gotta get chopped out if it's fluctuated around. That's why I like to trade smaller time frames so you can see what happens more inside the bars. Because when I tried to trade like 60 minutes, the bar would be fluctuating and my jump stops would all be messed up, and then I would get stopped out. You just want to find moves like this. You just draw to the peaks. So here is 5 ticks. So 10-5 would be too aggressive. You probably want to go down to like 10-2. And you just keep going back and notice the pattern. See if it worked or not.
Have to download it.
Okay, you would have lost.
Alright, we're a fucking long.
Right away. When you lose, you really can just get a circle. Indicate that you lost.
And look like understand what he's demonstrating?
Not at all.
So on that jump stop, you went with 10, so you got to set 10 and 2.
Yep.
So if you go 10 ticks, you're telling it to go, you're telling it to jump 2 more up or down?
Up because it's not negative. So if it's your entry is right here. Entry is right here. And then from your entry it went 10 ticks. Right there. And that's this particular point right there this week. Here, and then you had a 15 tick stop right here. When it goes 10 ticks right there, this 15 ticks will go all the way to 2. Right there. And then now you protect 2 ticks and you basically won the trade already. Like you won't lose anymore if you protected 2. Well, this is for this short. Well, it's above the line, so we're long right here. Yep. And if you do a trailing jump stop right here, then if the market moves, we usually do 1-to-1. So if this goes 11, I go to 3, and then 12, let's go to 4. Let's keep going up until you get stopped at, or until it hits your limit.
Well, what is the deal with the time restraints? Like, because is there or what's the reason for using time restraints on your end? I mean, to me, the simplest way, and again, I don't know, but to me, it would seem like pretty much everybody on here would be able to understand, just like signal to signal. I mean,
I agree.
Wait, hold on, everybody. Before going into that, think about the jumps. Was clear? I don't know.
Yeah, before moving on, we should make sure this jump stop thing is clear for whoever wants to know. So if you guys have any questions, just shoot.
Yeah, I just want to go over the jump.
Okay.
Let me explain. Okay. The jumps. Now it's
Control.
The jumps. Yeah, it's very well explained in manual. We're gonna make a lot of time when you read it. There's a couple of videos in Facebook too. Kind of explain it, their way. But basically, the jump, when you enter into a trade, it doesn't matter where you are, above or below. It doesn't matter what indicator you're using. When you enter a trade, you're telling the market something. Basically, you're telling the market how much you're willing to lose versus how much you're willing to make, right? The element is there. So that's why you set up a stop and you set up a limit. So let's say in this case, Justin, he's got 15 ticks on a stop and 30 ticks on a limit. So basically, he's telling the market he's willing to make 30 ticks, risking to lose 15, right? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So if he's above the moving average, that is going to be a long, and if he's below, it's going to be a short. Doesn't matter. In any scenario, he's willing to lose risk between 6 to make 30. Okay? And what the jump makes is we are going to find a lot of times the trade leave us money on the table. I mean, you see the trade in a certain moment, you're making money, and then you see the trade later, you're losing, right? So you say, what happened? I was making, let's say, $200, and 4 hours later, I'm losing 50 or 100, 200. Because the market moves a lot. It moves. He can, like you watching there on the screen, he can go up and down, up and down. So many times when we open our trade and then we close it, there's a lot of situations where we open, we close our trade and we lost money, but during the day or during the trade, there was a moment where we were making money. So we start to find that that's a common behavior that we usually end lost in a trade, or let's say let's put it another way. Maybe you end the day, you close your trade with a $100 profit, but before that you were making like $300 profit, and you close your trade, you also close the trade, and you kind of left $200 in the table, right? So, are you all good until there? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so if we find that that's a behavior that happens a lot, or like usually it makes that we like the arrow, like the lines that doesn't got out there in the screen, if you go from open to close, he ended with a 21 pocket this, which will be, how much will be?
Probably 262. Yeah, okay, 262.5.
Okay, so in that trade where he's showing right now, you see that from open to close, we ended with a 21 ticks profit. But there was a moment in the day, which in this case was...
See the hour to hour he went?
He was almost 30 ticks.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
So he almost left like 10 ticks on the table, which is $100. Right?
Here to now.
Right now. So, so if that's something that happens very often, or something that we don't want to happen, we use the jump stop. What the jump stop make?
Their day.
Is this how it's set up on the program?
It's going to move our stop.
No, I mean for the overlapping of the market.
Yeah, you can get it there.
When the market hits
I haven't watched it.
certain
I haven't learned yet.
So
you can ask him.
Hey, if you
I'm
go
over here
15, 20 ticks on favor, I don't want to risk anymore those 15 ticks that I'm willing to risk the first time, right? So why don't you move my stop into a certain point where if the market turns, let's say it turns and drops, and I was winning and suddenly I'm losing, and my trade is closed and I lost, I don't want that to happen. So if you go a certain amount of ticks or a certain amount of money in my favor, which in this case is 10 ticks, which is around 100, how much is it? 120, 30. So if you're 120, 140 ticks, 140 bucks on my favor, I'm not willing to risk any more than 15 ticks. I want you to move that stop, to move it automatically to a certain employment point, which will be 2 ticks. So let's imagine that the market turns and drops against us. At least I'm protected and I didn't end up losing money. Then that same jump, when it says then if the market moves 1 tick, moves to 1 tick, it's just that. If the market keeps moving on my favor, I want to keep driving my stop. It's like you got to stop at gas to the price action. So if it keeps going up, it's going to keep driving that stop up. So in case the market turns and want to go against us, he closed the trade, but at least we didn't know. The second jump stop, it's to protect your profits. What I was talking about the first time, that if you make some research and you find out that the market goes a lot of times on you, and then with less profit, you can tell the market, okay, and now, if you make another 10 ticks, another 15 ticks, move my jump down, my stop, to a certain point where if you go against me, I end make money. But we suggest a lot of new people that not use the jump stop too. What's going to make you don't have a right calculation of it. What is going to make is going to help you out of the trade, and you will get not making just play with the stoppers and open to close, or at least put one jump and clear that and see what happens. Usually in small markets,
No, in my
early
ear,
markets,
everything is delayed out here.
barely used.
In my world, he's saying stuff way faster.
Yeah,
And
it gotta be, because this is frozen. This ain't even moving. And it can't be matching up with what he's talking about. So I'm like, well, what is he talking about?
I know also it's something important to jump, but
Point is, all the
using
guys
jumping
are
correctly
in
is way worse than not using it. Because if you put it, like Justin was saying in the beginning, if you put it wrong, and if you move your jump too quickly, let's say you're greedy and you say, no, I'm not willing to risk anything. So if the market goes 5 ticks, I want to move my stop right here. That's not going to work, because the market needs a lot of room to move. He goes up, he goes down, he goes up, he goes down. And in those pullbacks, if your stop is moved way too quickly, he's gonna take you out of the trade, and you will miss all the big moves. Like you see there, exactly on the screen, and your trade started on a certain point, and then the market went up, and then it went down below break even, below the green line. We were doesn't bother there. Exactly. So if he would drag the stop, he would be out when he made that pullback. Then he went up, then he made it from sideways movement, then went up, and then he dropped a lot, and then he continued up. So many times, if your stop is not as smart, he takes you out. Very good there.
And that's what you call the first jump stop is your for protection.
Yep. Something like that. I mean, you can use it for whatever you want. Like people that got experience on this and let's trade it for a lot of time, they use it for protection. What it means is that they use it just in case the market turns a lot. Instead of losing those 20 ticks, 30 ticks, 60 ticks, they end losing 20 and 15. Those are negative.
You know what?
We charge also. We're just doing that. We're just telling the market, okay, if you go 10 ticks up on me, my stop from 20.
I fucking hate hard resets.
So if you do, at least pick up.
Fucking need to be done because it's taking off the soft part of it.
You were spinning it there, and then you made a face and left it earlier.
Oh. Pain is weakness sleep in the body.
Does the 1-and-1 start back up when it gets past 10?
Yep. Oh, okay. Only after it passes the 10 again. Yeah, you guys really have to watch it happen also, so you can get a better understanding of the jumps. So that's what I did when I started. If I watched it, saw it happen, then I really understood how it works.
Yeah, you can all go to, let's say, the thing, oil, crude, and put a 1 minute chart when the market is open, right? And you make a 4th century, and you set up your accounts and you see how it plays.
Oh, there we go. We're running into a reserve.
But you gotta know how to use them. That's gonna hurt you all the time. Just that if you're somebody that's starting right now, don't let them down. Don't put anything and just go to the stop limit and check every day you trade and see what they do.
You think this will move?
What?
You think this will activate?
Yeah.
1 minute.
So, question. So when you did that 1-on-1, if that does it cancel out your limit? Will it continue to trail up? Say if it was going your long direction in that example, or will you still come out at your limit?
Your limit will stay there. It's always staying, so it stays there. Just trying to get this to activate so you guys can see it.
Short.
But like Andrew was talking about the signal to signal. Yeah, you can definitely trade signal to signal, but we usually find a pattern in the market. But that thing took me out real quick.
Well, I think it's some growth, something to look forward to. Once you understand.
Oh, we about to get on the topic here.
Once you've done, once you have the
community is going to grow and be a lot more active. The way people are speaking up.
There's a lot of other stuff that you can do, but if you try to
watching
do it first,
Instagram and people really making money.
Seriously.
It'll screw you
That's what I want to, yeah.
Take away from your learning. The reason why we
Be such an active student that they have no choice but to listen.
The correct or the incorrect way to trade, we got it as an option because a lot of people don't have the money to pull a trade. If you wanted to pull a trade, you know, S&P, you will need $6,000. And when the trade in a big margin, you need 500. So if you told me, hey, did I give you $6,000 to trade in a loss? Yeah, that's a big for my day, man. If you tell me, hey, I give you $6,000 to trade at S&P or with $500 take a trade every day, I'm gonna build one trade every day. That's why the margin on the time frame are set up. And they are all set up because, like Justin said, that certain things are made for the time that I don't want to trade at that time. You just care about what you make on the time and trade 4 hours in a day. Done.
Okay, can you still trade signal to signal with the time restraint?
Yep. All that does is when you put a time restraint, it's just you're just telling your software to look for signals within that time restraint.
Okay. Well, so say you come out at say you're at S&P and it's 6 o'clock and the market just opened. Do you come back in at the next time restraint, or does it place your order for the previous off of the previous signal?
It won't press you on any previous signal if you don't have any forced entry on. It'll just fire a trade whenever an arrow comes out again.
And the next one comes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. But stop my share and then you can just trade stuff right now. For sure. Also, if Louis, you're here, right? Louis Cuthbert. I don't know if I said your name right. So we got you from last class, so you gotta share your screen with you today.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, for sure. You wanna share your screen right now while waiting for the other guy?
It's written.
Already. Yep. Didn't know stuff.
Sorry, I'm here.
Yeah, do you want to share your screen right now, or?
Yeah, that's fine. Since I was asking a question regarding kind of the strategy I was looking at.
For sure, you can share your screen there and we can take a look.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So my question for that last one specifically relative to the time restraints. I was actually looking at the range chart. Yes. So now I would need that $6,000 if I was going this route, unless I was just coming in on the open each on the market each day and entering manually. But from what I've gathered so far, and 10 take a bridge.
Say what? I'm about to sit on the floor.
And my Bulls and Bears, I dropped it down, my sensitivity down to a 7. And of course, I played with it to see where I could get the most consistent, like I said, the most consistent colors were bullish or bearish. And using that was my indicator, change in my trade. So started off currently right here on the chart, but looking back to my last arrow, had a good run, biggest steep, like you were talking about last time when you introduced the range. It's not really giving you like a solid time frame at the bottom, but you are able to see the day. So this is actually ranging over from right now. That trade triggered on the 2nd of August. And
thank you.
I've been developing, I wanted to say last night, where I have my line tomorrow. It went up to 181. The peak was 206 ticks. 181 ticks was
what you think? But what I give you, you ain't giving me.
I feel we was going to the snap on the screen. And I found that up again. Doing food now.
I can eat it with the fries. It's delicious. Ooh. Ooh. Buffalo? Yes.
Don't eat all the fries. You ate all the damn soup.
That's what I did. That was
you
good.
Definitely pulled a little brother. That's how I know you're a little brother.
Yeah.
Because you left all of them for literally enough to fit in my palm, but I didn't eat all.
Really?
That's little brother.
Oh, I didn't even see it. I didn't even know it was in there. I didn't even know how much was in there. I poured it into the pot and then chewed.
You said I poured it in and just chewed.
And chewed. I didn't know what the fuck was. When I was, you lucky you even got some. There was, the bill's gonna be gone.
So, you said black.
Sorry.
Buffalo. Oh, buffalo chicken.
Too goddamn buffalo. Maybe 3. 3.
What? 3?
We get big.
Refining it was looking to see if I had a jump, because I don't have any jump stops or limits set yet. So I was definitely going to ask what would probably be a good recommendation for something like this. see it, like when it has good runs, and when it has good runs, it's profitable. But when it's on this choppy stage, like here, they'll come in, come out, I could be losing, $250 on it. I do have it set for a 3 trade max trade lockout on the day, but how many days is that middle period right here? This is just 2 days, specifically right here. So the day starts right here. This is July 30th.
Not much.
Then it goes into the 1st of August. And here's the 2nd of August. So really, these are just. This is actually one trade a day. One trade went in on the 31st.
Well,
one trade went in on the 1st, right?
Dehydrated.
And then it came out of that trade on the 2nd for this one.
Based on what I'm seeing, the average movement from your chart, I would probably put the limit around 70 to 80 ticks. From what I see.
Put a jump stop where? Put a jump stop?
Yeah, definitely put a jump stop for the S&P. It's an expensive market to trade, in my opinion. So this ring span would definitely go over the day margin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't, especially too, you said without the
I move like a fucking day
not really being able to utilize. Now, when you said go over the day margin, would that be the case if I was, say, daily, just re-entering the market?
Yeah, what I did before when I was trading with the range, I would wake up before the market closes, and then I would close it manually just to avoid the margin, and I would re-enter when it opens again. Because you can't use the exit before closing range. There's no specific time frame where it makes it more.
The market sessions, the market time sessions.
Okay.
Somebody did that.
And going through this, I know
Actually, uncheck the box too, the entry trend base, and just run with your signals, and it's clean as it is.
where
right there and next to the time restraint. No, right there next to the time restraint, right there. I would take that off. Or
it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, because your signals are clean. It's just you won't have a trade every day. That's all you're gonna do. You're just gonna trade based on the arrows. Yeah. And then just like that, you're right.
So,
and this is where I trade my energy to keep the balance and not go on. See, so I'm learning about trading, which is dope. I also need that adrenaline, that chaos, that motherfucker. Oh, yeah, keep it in the background. Let somebody else play. This is watch this. I'm gonna put on vision and have it. That is. I wouldn't be able to, because I want to consume his words. They're everything. So it's more than just that. It's just like, because you got to think about it. People who are drill instructors, they're drill instructors. They're still human beings. So my fascination is, how the fuck are you this awesome? Dead ass. How the fuck can you be this great? I don't see you sleep. I don't see you eat. I don't see you piss. I don't see shit. All I see is goddamn, how can you scream for 36 hours a day? You make this shit look like it's easy. Yes, there's 36 hours a day in boot camp. Goddamn. You know that? No fuck. This man. Real like that.
We avoided that because it's all set up with a good spot to go with this 10 tick range. So
and then
range, like if I switch
I can double up to YouTube.
it would go
and put when I go live on the same page. They all on the same page. When I go live, the games is on the same page. And there you go. I just watch. I just like looking up and seeing people get shot. I mean, how I can tell you, it reminds me why I'm trading stocks in the first place. Because if I don't get my money up, another war gonna come and my son gonna have to go. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Well, World War 76. Third supposed to be doing what? Fuck out of here. Yeah. Yep. Not going back to fuck. Them.
All the way down, and you see those manual order entry. You would click whichever one coincides with your signal.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going long in this signal. Then
You leak it everywhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
I would definitely your limit around those bigger runs, like 100 ticks or something, and then probably increase your stop loss. That's pretty tight for the range 10 to 15. That's basically 1.5 bullets. Okay.
This makes me want to go on my forex and see what I
And then for your jump stops,
I see how you can use the information.
manually draw your lines, and then you can see from there.
So use it because that's your chess game. Your chess game.
This is
11:59.
You made it, you know. Ah, you won.
this is like this section right here is
Oh, go ahead.
kind of what it does look like. Repetitiously.
They got stop losses.
What I'm going through right now.
They do. They have stop loss.
Kind of repeating.
They do.
So.
They have about $1 now, so I normally put like $15.
So if it does the same thing, I would expect it to come back up and come back down right in here.
So
I guess guys, another reason why I looked at that 10 tick range because it gave a lot of space for the market, for bulls and bears to kind of see where the market was going. Like imagine if it was like a 1 tick bar, the sensitivity would be just so high that the market doesn't have a chance to give like a more of an accurate reading on the direction it's going to go. So I played with it and gave it a 10 range so it can have a better prediction of the direction. And
Very well. Oh, hey, got you. That's I like it. Dead bodies and money. I like it. Never again will I have to do it. Yeah, never again. Never again. Oh, I might even see it on the dead body. Oh my god! You guys not gonna come down? Very well. I gotta change my pen. We're changing continents. Yeah, I did everything I need to do to get out this bitch. Gone. I made it straight to the airport. Like, dead body, I'm leaving the car, everything. I will buy what we need when we get there. Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's a tough one. It's like this place is melanites, which is your melanin in your skin. Yeah, I'm about to eat it up. And honestly, knowing myself, I'm gonna tell you, I got tattoos because I love pain. I'm a fucking survivor, and I love pain. And that's why I got all the tattoos. I was in places where this thing fits so up, or when it filled in, I'll just look at it and like, it's not anymore.
So I'm using the same.
It was already bleeding. Just like, is there any more?
60 minutes. I think I could probably afford that when I go live.
The only way would have been able to keep going.
Yeah.
Or you're doing shit for other reasons. Deal with your pain. What hurts worse than physical pain? That's why the physical pain can be dealt with easy. So what hurts worse is
my stops and my starts are a little higher. I'm trying to risk more.
telling you about the lover and shit.
See how it works.
Gotcha. Somebody says limits are not like accurate. Really, I just started plugging some stuff in. I was actually plugging it.
That in the hotel.
I was looking at it initially, but without softeners, because, like I said, when I was running with the
I'll be trying to chill until it hit like 7 o'clock.
It was really painful, and the market changing direction in a way that was pushing. So when I was calculating, I didn't see it like changing in the way where I was losing, like more than $300. But on its upside, I was getting, $1,500 and up, like right here to $2,200 run. But it's over 2 days.
So this depends on your monetary situation, but you should always trade with a stop because the market don't stay faithful forever. Like, you're gonna see a moment where it just turns back when you're really bad.
Yeah, that was waiting on just a conversation and get some insight information.
Yeah, you should always have a stop in there.
All right, got a private message from CJ.
Never mind, you're gonna start learning
Water.
You're learning new limits, your jump, thinking over ranges. You gotta process your
Yep.
Yeah, when I was looking at it too, it favors, like you're saying, you're doing that, doing it in a 60-minute chart. Looks the same. It's just that the different points where you gotta have to adjust the sensitivity of the bulls and bears. You see the lines here is where I'm currently at with my sensitivity setting, so I'm just adjusting so it fits. So like I will probably just, if it makes sense, to look at this in the same capacity and say, hey, now I can just use it like this and go ahead and go, with the time restraints on, I don't have to click the mouse every time.
Yes. There are different things. It's different. You're not looking at 60-minute chart. It's not going to be getting exactly right. Generate. Remember the range. They don't answer to time. You don't have time in the equation. They're only answering to the by action. That's how they go out.
Whenever you're looking at the real
confident about watching ranges
I'm still figuring that out. 5 minutes, 15 minutes, then 30 minutes. It depends on the strategy.
I was actually comparing like this section here.
Depending on the strategy you want to use, this is the answer. Depending on the strategy you want to use, is what time you're going to look at.
And the sections.
If you want a long, 15, yeah.
Gonna look similar, of course.
You still listening?
You will have
I'm saying, ask the question to the team. That's the question, because you're going to be on the team asking the same thing. You asking now.
Now be different because it's comparing range to any kind of
so when you jump in the program.
So in your range chart, what was it looking like just in the course of 1 day for you as
That's someone better than me. You know what? That's someone for real, for real.
But I did work.
It's gonna look the same, but all of it's just
Apparently ain't there. Listen, ask somebody in the team. Because remember, you can win wrong. Be ass nigga talking about, oh, I made 20. Why I lost all my money? Because you made 20 and lost all your money. Like, why?
So when you build jump, just run it through me or Gabriel or whatever. Okay.
Actually, I don't know.
You want water. I don't want this.
Yeah, good job.
I don't know what the fuck to do with what I just said. Nah, for real, ask him a question because now I want to know.
Can you guys see it?
Words, so iPads is heavier than a
No, man.
Gosh.
You're fine.
Gosh. Gosh. That was about to be mess.
Been around the bully team too long.
Let's just say snap. Don't do that. Don't do that. You ain't knocked down my 15 inch, goddamn.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you see my chart?
What question? Yeah, we can see it.
All right. I just wanted to take a look at the autopilot show. My autopilot settings just to make sure. I know it's logical, but my jump stops, because I'm only operating with one jump stop. Jump stop 2 makes it a little too complicated. Wait, using the...
Yeah, you gotta explain us everything before going to the other part. Logic skills.
Start from the indicator.
Alright, so I'm using the Motion. I'm pretty familiar with it. I've been using it for a while now. So basically, I just did the back test. Basically, from the height or the low. I had some pretty good runs, 268, 148, 246, pulled back on me 65 right there. Another run, 52. Another long run there, 205. Had a pretty good run right here, 271. I'm just going to keep it short and see. I'm not going to go through everything I got laid out. So, I didn't stop me out after having it run off well. As you can see, captured a few running 10 contracts because that's what I'll do to afford and still have money left over my account. It was actually me and my friend who built this year. We were working together.
The only problem that we keep up with that if the autopilot he doesn't work fine.
So no, I didn't need it. It doesn't work
live. It works fine when you're money trading. And the autopilot has got a lot of I don't know how to call it. It makes weird stuff. I've never seen anybody on a strategy live with people.
Oh shit, I get it now.
We got a problem, yeah. I don't know how much we can get to it. I mean, so far any indicator that makes clean arrows, like we always say with nothing here, you can indicator work and make arrows. You have to mean on okay. The problem is
I know. I ain't paid college to sit in class and not ask questions. That's how I figured it out.
So it works fine on that one, but we don't know how it's gonna work on live.
So I'll be seeing
I can't tell you. I mean, I don't know what you think about. And I would ever run it, you can run it.
You have to front test this thing like for a long time just to make sure.
Right, which is what I'm currently doing.
Yeah, it's a pretty dynamic indicator. It has 3 things that it calculates. So you have to
I'm actually not using this. I'm only using 2. Out of the 3, I'm only using 2. I took 1 off.
Yeah, you still have to front test it for a long time just to make sure.
What's considered a long time?
Probably, but just depends on you. Like, you have to see the results and see if it makes sense.
Okay.
And your jump stop 1, your trailing is 1 and 2. I'd probably just put 1 to 1. It's gonna trail way too fast.
I only wanted to trail once I get to 8. The reason why I have it like that, I understand it's gonna go fast. The reason why I have it like that is once I get to 8 ticks, once it goes to 8 ticks, I want it to trail fast so it stops me out before it even decides to pull out because I'm comfortable with capturing 8. When it smooths all the way to 100, then that's perfect. That's why I have it at 1 to 2. If that makes sense.
I would have put your first jump around.
I'm only using 1 jump. I'm not using 2.
No, I know. I would have put around maybe 60 because on 80 you're way too close to the limit. You're leaving 86 between your right entry and your first jump. 86 is a lot. I mean, what happened if you go? It's just a suggestion.
That's a good suggestion. That's why I brought it up.
If you go 7, 6, and turn down. So sure. I mean, knowing that your limit is 100, and that's cool. For me, it's perfect. And I would put your first jump around, let's say, 60. You can protect if you want 20 and 21 to 1 and 2.
I don't like being quiet in my sleep. Listen.
If I do 6,
everybody goddamn turn the fuck up now.
Would be too quick. They will stop me out.
I shake Black Liberation. I'll be back.
You're protecting yourself a little bit more. Because 80, you're way too close to the limit. If you're going straight to 80, it's probably going to hit your limit, so you're burning your jump. So you probably should put it before or find where he pulls back. Or every day and try to find what amount of things he uses before he pulls back. And try to put it there, let's say 50 or 60. I would put it between 50 and 60, and that's pretty much 20. So you're not so close. Yeah, 60. Yeah, try it. I mean, it's a try. It's all trying.
That was just playing. Each move was something I was playing because it was something I used regular to trade. When I was manual trading, I used that to
I know.
Trade.
It's used a lot, and on manual trading, he answers very well and predicts very well transactions. But manual, what I've seen, I've compared the manual trading and the decision that the trader made against what the autopilot would have done on the technical and achieving. That's not what I say. Like,
Don't hit my baby. The fuck?
He goes short, and the autopilot went short like 5 minutes later. And he was so yeah, of course, it's kind of weird and makes something up. But yeah, try it. And definitely not 4 hours. I got no idea how to run a habit.
Yeah, it usually works better with a time frame as
If it does well, then you should start teaching us about the indicator too, because I don't know anything about so.
Yeah, sure.
You're interested.
Yeah, man, I've been using that for a while.
All right.
It was great when I got in the program and I could actually do the different things I know how to do.
Yep.
But I listen to them every time.
I'm sorry. Does it trade on each one of them signals?
Is it trading? On what?
On each one of them purple signals that I see?
Now, the cloud ones? That's true.
Yes.
Not a purple arrow.
These are the cloud ones.
Listen. Oh, you out here playing games. Okay, you got it.
Yeah, that's what it's trading based on.
Okay.
Let's go to. I guess to go live, we'll have to show that you master the work. We have to know how to do it, or you know how to do how to.
Oh shit.
You have this in the slide. That's my work.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Not because of finding this, just because he don't want us to go outside and burn all the camera.
Gotcha. I'm listening. Sorry, go ahead.
So that's why he's gonna try to try it a couple of weeks. You know how to practice. Start work. It's an indicator he doesn't use.
Gotcha.
But yeah, but try it. The only way to know is by practice.
This one I've been running for a while now. Slowly creeping up to get to. I think it's this truck. Yes, this.
Same box. This one.
Yeah, and I got this on the 4 hour. You know, 4 hours. It's much smoother than the low time frame. They're not jumping in and out with the different signals. Minor evidence right there. I'm trying to figure something out. So on the 4 hour, this has some pretty decent runs. That's the 1,130 ticks right there. Hold back 327. So I had a pretty good run right there. 456. I had to pull back at 395. Went for me. I don't remember exactly. I think I don't know what I was doing right there. I must have been doing something. That went 7,000 ticks. How long? How many days did that take? That
Took a month.
yeah, 2 months. Had a little dip back there, right? Because that was what, December to January, yeah. Started getting a little spotty around there, so I stopped. Still back to the front. So I've been running. I think this was where it stopped. So it's been running since then. So, you know, I was losing there. It's a good thing I had a pretty good stop, so it just flipped me over into this one. And I've been running short since, went up against me the last couple of days, and down, up, down again. So I set my autopilot settings to what's going on.
Daily trades.
That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. It's this one. Okay, so I just explained the wrong time. This is actually, let me take a few things off here so you guys can see what's going on. Get in my way.
Y'all got those millionaire trucks.
Hey, talk to him.
How do I minimize this thing? It's in my own. How do I move this right here? Oh, there we go. So I have 150 movement average on the 4 hour. Yeah, these are the calculations right here. So there's 241 ticks to my favorite. After making that handle, it's a double top. Yeah, this was the one, Gabriel, this was the one that I spoke to you about. I think it was last week. Yeah, last week, Thursday, actually. Or was it Sunday? I think probably was Thursday or Sunday. I didn't have much to go. Yeah, Sunday. I didn't have much to go back and see because starts to get choppy there. So, create a stop of 150. Create a stop on 150. Because I just wanted, I really don't want to put any stop in there because I just wanted to run it for Twitch. But just to, have something in there, I put 115 there. I have again, I really don't even want to use jump stops. I wanted to lose 150 to make 300. But I just put 150, market move 150, ticks in my favor. Move stop to break even 81. Then if it moves, then if the market moves one tick, then move stop by one tick, and my limit style is 300. Essentially, I'll be stopped out before it hits 3. I gotta do 1 to 2 there. If it passes 150, I'm fine with capturing 150 or anything a little bit after that. So I'm gonna change my jump stop to actually my market moves 1 tick and capture 2 ticks, which I'll be fine with if it's not like around 150, 160 or 200 actually. I'll be fine with it. 2. But yeah, any recommendations for the jump stop or, jump stop, you can open the area and everything you guys have to say.
That 150, you saying when you hit that, you protect that A1, right? And then you want to move 1 and 2?
Yeah, I'll probably switch to 1 and 2. I'll probably switch to 1 and 2.
You could either do that or make it like 75, 40, and then 1 to 1. It'll do the same effect. That's what you're trying to do.
75, 40, and then do 1 to 1.
You just have to do 1 to 1.
Gotcha.
That's if you want to probably protect earlier. Just depends on what you see.
Right.
Because I personally haven't traded with bigger time frames, so I don't have that much experience. All I can say is I recommend use from the stops or limits. But yeah, it looks good so far. If you're gonna do that 150, 81, I'd probably do 1 and 2, like you were saying.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, in those candles, in a 4-hour candle, you're gonna have a lot of up and down, huh?
Yeah, that's like a lot of down.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of up and down, but so far moving around it's less noise than the low time frame. Low time frame you get up a lot of your money. Bigger time frame, the candle is long and you might have some money, but if you have money to weather the storm, flip around and put you back in the positive as long as you got that money to weather the storm. But also, I don't just base it off of 4 hour. I look at the higher time frame and assess what's going on in the higher time frame, and then make a logical decision as to whether this is a chart I want to have any relationship with. That's how I base building, go ahead and build a strategy.
What kind of movement do they have in the 4 hours?
What kind of movement?
Yeah, like how much movement is typical in like a 4-hour range for
see, like this can't, it just depends. Like this can't, right here, see how long these shells drop down pretty long. But that's what's been 4 hours. But it's a much slower movement. It's not as fast as the lower time frames, 15, 5. But you can make a lot of money on the lower time frame, 5, which essentially is what you would make in the larger time frame, like smaller. So like more gamble on the lower time frame. Larger time frame, it takes time to move 3-4 hours. It's more logical to me. But when I get my money is much longer, I can play around with the lower time frame and instead of that contract, and make like 10,000 in a couple of hours as opposed to making 10,000 2 jumps.
Yeah. It'll be like it'll be like 35 more than 35 tip movement, against you in that one bar, because then if that happens, that's when it's gonna, it jumps out on like right?
35, my stuff is 150.
Well, I was saying that nothing was recommended, like if you went down 75 and then 40, right? So then within that, so say he hit that 75 mark, so now it's protecting 40. And then when it's fluctuating in one bar like that.
It would essentially knock me out the trade early. But I could still be a 75. You know what I mean? Steps me out 75. That would be the best. So 9, 37. I mean, it's one contract, it'd be one contract, so it'd be it'd still be a possible in that sense. The whole game is to like Peut-être vraiment plus un jeu de novatrice.
The only problem you have with this raw candle is that once you're out of the trade, you love
right. It's slow cut. It's a slow cut movement. It's very slow.
Oh shit.
And if you want to get into it again on another pilot, actually you just kind of go off with your pilot.
He got 27 grand in his account. He got 27 grand in his account from trading.
It was actually me and my friend. We sat down and built this strategy. So we're going to get out.
You're gonna put your first entry, and I mean if you got into your first entry in the market, and only trade this hard.
I'm sorry, you're a little low. Say that again.
First entry in the market, only put this hard for the first entry and exit. Let's say you're.
Hold on, let me give you control.
Yeah. Let's say. Let's say you get out.
Always.
Fresh or cooked?
Fresh. You want to re-enter the trade. You want to re-enter here because then you're going to win. Yeah. You want to re-enter based on the moving average, or you want to re-enter based on the trend?
No, it's good.
Let's say you want to re-enter based on the trend. You can do in your other here.
Actually, yeah.
How do you want to market you trade with
in the ocean, in the water, in the current.
Okay, so just dice them up fresh, throw them in the current.
Yeah.
Make sure you.
Yeah.
What you do is you use your time to trade into the market, but you don't exit.
Okay.
What's going to happen is that when you're out of the trade, you're going to enter automatically the trade again.
Gotcha. Right.
That's if you want. That's not me. Do you understand how it works?
Yeah, I understand things. I don't want to exit. I still want to stay into it, but he'll just wake up and put me back in the trade.
He won't take you out of the trade exactly. What he will do is that if you hit limit or another signal, if you hit your limit or you're down and you're out of the trade, what he's gonna do, he's gonna wait until the market opens again. He will force you then, but he will never take you out. He wants to take
That's a delivery.
Oh, so I'll stay in. I'll stay in. You'll never take me out. You're going to take me out if I hit my limit on my scalp.
So are you doing what the maintenance margin?
And then essentially that's so I could run it overnight, and I'll free up some money so I could do other trades if I was there.
Nipples on sucking.
It's not going to take you out at 4?
No, it's just gonna stop. It's just gonna stop the trade and start it back over and start it.
No. It's not gonna. No. Yeah, that's what this is gonna make. What this is gonna make is gonna. Let's say, I mean, this first entry is not gonna do anything. You're inside a trade, okay? So let's say you're inside a trade here. Follow them up. Let's say you're already inside a trade. Okay? You're inside a trade because your airport is running and you have this check. Okay? So you have a signal, you have a solution, okay, you're running all these things. Let's say you hit your limit here. Which is not. The limit is not there. Let's say you're okay. You will miss this whole round because your trade only enters when there's a signal, or exit when there's a signal, right? Or if you hit your upper limit. Those are the 4 options. You don't have a 4th section. If you have the entry trend check, but you don't have the exit, what's going to happen is that in the next candle, the next day,
I see what you're saying. It will put me back in.
It will put you back in.
It's always just have enough money. Or it's always gonna go. It's gonna rise from the point.
Get it? Gotcha. If you're not watching the software here, you're out, and you need this whole thing. That's a way of running huge trends if you hit over limit. If you think about it, that's a way you can run. If the S&P crashed for 3 months, that's a way you can run it. Every time you hit your limit, interest you again.
Okay.
That's low. This type of trades where it's very big moments, it may work. It may go against you because let's say you figure out this right here, and he enters you again and you write the whole thing down.
No, see, but then I'll set up some other indicators to see what's going on up there, to see if I stay or get out. That would just be entail me using other indicators to find out what's calculate the averages of bars and figure out what's going on. Or go to the higher time frames and put on.
Yeah, right. I totally have no idea how brutal it works for all. So you gotta try it and see how it works. The only thing I know is you stop at the limit, gotta be wide.
Yeah,
as soon as you're away from the price action.
Right.
And you gotta find it.
Question. Okay, what you're just talking about with that time restraint and entering and exiting. So, in the same, like you said, in the middle of that trade, say it's its limit. The software wakes back up at 6 o'clock, and the next day, and
put me back in based on the last trend. That's all we got.
Based on the last trend. And then it goes back to the software goes back to sleep at 4 o'clock if it hasn't hit any limits or anything. And it stops trading at that moment.
No, the software won't stop ever. The only thing you will do, you put that time restraint there just to put it, but it's not gonna work.
Gabriel, an easier way to explain this. See on the lower time frame when you build a strategy and you have a time set for that strategy. So the autopilot wakes up every day and hits the time frame set and puts you out at that time. At the time that you want to get out.
Yeah.
So this is essentially what it's doing. So when the autopilot wakes up on the lower time frame, say you're using crude oil, and a good time to get in crude oil is 10 to 12, right? So you set your parameters, use time for instance 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., right? And end your training. And you don't have eggs because you don't have the eggs because you wanted to do it every day, right? Yeah. So you do it today, you wake up.
Ain't nobody with no fucking money texting me.
Tuesday comes around.
I don't do it. I'm not checking my phone. Because ain't nobody with money texting me.
And goes in based on last signal.
And if there is, let me check.
And then close out at around 12 o'clock. When Wednesday comes around, does the same thing. It's the last signal. Always when there. It's continuous. Just keeps going. So in my
situation, just off that time.
Right. So in this situation, since I'm running it long, it's just what I don't know why. So it's about 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Right? That's when I watch it over. See what time. So this market. Alright. But that changed after 65. So essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
So now I'm doing the same thing on the short time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just gonna put you automatically inside the trading unit.
Yeah. So that's the last trend and push back.
Yeah, that's one of the trades that because it doesn't last in any markets. I mean, what I would do if I would using the strategy again. I'm not saying that it shouldn't rest.
No, I'm open criticism. Go ahead.
I will open another chart. Do the same thing, but let's say you keep it on a 60 minute or 2 hours and try to write the same thing. So there, with a 60 minute and 2 hour, you're giving the software a little bit more option on how to move. So, because on a 4 candle, he can only react for hours. It's kind of a lot of volume for a minute. And he only can do one thing every 4 hours.
Right.
So let's say the trend changes. It's going to take him a whole day to notice. So if you're comfortable with the big candles, because you like doing it, but do the same thing on, let's say, in a 60 minute or 2 hours. And maybe this thing about forcing yourself to enter again, and it works better than a minute, but maybe sorry, 2 hours. I would just keep an eye on both and see if they will do. Right, one on the mobile and the other one and see what would have done.
Right. Hey, on that 10 or 12 example you was given, right? When say if you got it set up like that, and it's after the 12 o'clock, say it's like 2 o'clock or something, and it hits a signal, goes across the moving average, creates another signal. Now, are you going to be putting through for trading?
Maybe.
Yeah, or anybody who can answer that.
So you're going to get put into a trade that's going to last 6 months. If the signal change, you're going to, when it wakes up again, you're going to get put into that signal.
Okay, so technically you're going to take a trade because you put your time frame in there from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So then at 2 p.m., if it crosses the moving average and create another signal, you're not going to be in a trade.
No. You're gonna. It's based on the last signal. So whatever the last signal was throughout that entire trade, when the market closed or when the market opened, or no matter what time, it doesn't matter when you got out. The market still runs. So if you got out, if you was in the market for 2 hours and then you got out within that 2 hours, the market's still going. There's different signals coming in and out. All right, you know, if it's a long run, then there's that one signal for that long run there. But it's
so like what he was saying, like at 2 o'clock, you may have been out, but when you get back in at 10 o'clock time, it's going to operate off of that 2 o'clock signal if that was the last signal.
Exactly.
That's a part of what I was saying. But when I was talking to Aaron was saying he was talking about when you had that exit, you have to have like the amount of bars that you will be exiting the trade. So if you don't have that on, it don't apply or anything like that. Okay. I just want to clear on that.
That's important. Well, yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah, if anyone wants to share their screen before we cut off, or share any ideas, strategies, or you can go over something again.
If you can go over the range a little more, Justin. Because I want to learn just a little, just want to hear you talk about it a little more so I can get a little understanding. I ain't got no very specific question, but it might open my eyes or something.
Okay, just ask me questions as I go. My mind moves pretty. I'm always running all over the place. Does this sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
How hungry are you? Big plate, little plate?
So finding a range chart is kind of the same way in finding a moving average. You just gotta find whichever the thing.
This, you want a whole piece?
You want to take off the moving average. So what range bars are just they're just price action bars where whichever range you set them to. Like this is 10 ticks, so each bar is 10 ticks. So every time it moves more than 10 ticks, it's like this moves 20 ticks right here.
Quick question. You said remove the moving average. If you don't, does it trigger?
No, it's just to make it look more organized. Yeah, so every 10 ticks, this makes a new bar. 10 ticks, move 10 ticks up here. And the reason why it's cleaner is because it takes time out of the equation. It only factors in price or ticks. And what you want to do with range charts is use indicators that base their settings on price range instead of time. So like the ATR or bulls and bears. So for now we can use the bulls and bears. You just want to clean up the arrows.
Yes.
Just like what Lewis did, he went all the way to 7 with a range 10 and then do super clean.
Right.
Here. Then usually when you want to start off, since this is a fast market, you'll notice that these two bars right here is 5:03:12 a.m. and this is 5:03:21, so it's usually 10 seconds and made another bar. So you want to pay attention to the seconds when building your strategy. So if you're gonna put any forced entry or anything, like let's do this time 5:03, then we can just keep going back. The same concept as when you're doing the time charts, but you just get to keep going back. And it takes a lot longer because if the market is fast, there's going to be a lot more bars.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of people.
Usually it's the max I've seen is 2.5 weeks. But that's why you really have to front test this to make sure it works. So there's a situation here where if your forced entry was at 5:03 and this bar right here is 5:01 and it jumped to 5:22, what's going to happen if you force enter? It's just going to force enter at the next bar.
So instead of 5:22, it would be what's that next one, right? Is that what you were saying?
Yep, at the open of the next one, it's going to be around it's going to be 5:35. You'll fire trade and be long. There, you're just going to keep going back. you took a short right here. You could also trade it signal to signal, just depends on what you want. Here you would have lost because it went short.
So like say for go ahead.
What was that?
Oh, that's something I'm about to ask. So say like for example, we was talking about I think that was at S&P or something, how it's like going up. And then when you know, when it eventually start going down, you can go into only telling your signals to sell, going to sell trade, well, going to short trade, right?
That depends on your indicator, whatever it says. Like if it says short, like here, then it's going to take a short.
More than likely, if it's going down, you're going to catch a lot of moments where it's going down, you know, downward like that. So it'd be good to get trade short.
Yeah, you could also set like this area on top of your exit strategy. It'll be like take short position. Then only take the shorts that comes up. If that's what you want to do.
Right.
Question. I see like you're drawing your line from say the entry point at that time to what you're trying to the peak to the lows and the highs.
I always draw them to the lows or the highs because since there's so much bars, it doesn't make sense for me to draw it to the close. In your situation, it made sense because the range was pretty big, so it caught. There wasn't as much like bars. Like this is a lot of bars. Like if I'm gonna draw all the way to close, it's gonna be like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty crazy.
So when you first started talking about this, you said you can go signal to signal, or what's the order? Like
force entry, just depends on what you want. Like a while ago, I made you take off the force entry because it looked good already just based on your arrows. So this is gonna trade based on the arrows. Like when it comes up, it'll fire whatever, basically fire a bomb, something.
See, and that part where you're at right now, that's irritating for me. Just those arrows where you catch minimal movement, or if it goes against you, you're just catching a bunch of 10, 20, 30 bar defeats.
I didn't get what you meant.
Like up on the left side where you have the neutrals and the arrows.
Oh, right here? Yep.
Yeah.
There's a box right here on the bottom called exit on primary signal. You could uncheck that, and the only way now that it can take you out is based on your stops and limits. It won't take you out anymore on the next arrow.
What?
Yep.
So, hold on, you gotta say that again. Say that one more time.
So, let's see. Right here, you see this long right here? You notice how there's a short arrow here? And it would have flipped you?
Right.
If you had this check. But if you take it off, it'll keep you long right here. Then the only way it'll take you out is if it hits your stop or you have a limit or whatever.
If you take what off?
Hey.
Right here, this box right here. You see it?
Exit on primary signal.
Yep.
Exit on primary signal. Yeah, see, I had that checked. No, I had it unchecked and then checked.
I did. Yeah, he was wondering how he kept winning. I'm like, well, you don't get. It's like you should have got me out right here and then put me on right here. I'm like, I get it. If that's unchecked, then it won't. Yeah. So that's how you were winning and losing. He just explained it a little bit better than that. I was just trying to see exactly what he was talking about. Yeah, I get it. I think I left it unchecked and I was killing you, man. It will make you lose though sometimes.
I gotta eat it. Nah, listen, art.
So right here, you fight along. Then if you wanted to catch this whole move, you would have got flipped here if you hadn't checked. So if you wanted to capture the whole move, then you uncheck that and you'll just be long all the way.
I like that. It's fresh. So with the rice, and it's a mountain coming up my mind.
It's like 10 o'clock that night when I got to the half, I was wondering how I still hit it. Yeah, okay.
It works a lot with indicators like bulls and bears or the ATR because they tend to make a lot of arrows like here. So it just depends on your back test. You can try different things. Sometimes it works better, sometimes it don't.
And that's just going to purely operate off of your stop and limit.
Yep. The downside of that is when you take a loss, it's the whole stop.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions from what you see right now?
Processing that, saying I'm going to work that.
Yeah, just to clarify, right? You said unchecked the exit from primary signal, right?
Yep.
You're gonna keep running.
So it won't flip you on the next arrow. Right here. It'll just operate based on your stops and your limits. For sure.
So now, what about exiting on your time for that day?
For the range, you can't really do that since it doesn't factor in time. Yeah. Like if you want to close it at the market close, then you usually have to get on your software and close it yourself.
And that's effective in your minute range or whatever. I mean, not minute range, or minute charts, any of that, right?
Yeah, you can do that with any chart you want. If you go on a 2-minute or something, you notice it makes a lot of arrows with the BNB. You can uncheck that. Oh, damn, it looks nice. You can uncheck the exit on signal so it won't flip you or anything.
Bulls and bears are telling you when it's gonna go down and up. I caught that. Now you use that to triangulate.
Really what you see and what you analyze in the market.
What about when you get back in the trade?
It'll be the next day or whenever your timer strings activate again.
Okay, you still got your first entry on, right?
If you want to use it, or if you don't want to use it, then you can just trade off the signals.
And it'll still take your previous signals. Even if you don't have what's present.
All this is just the exit. It's just exit, so it'll still enter you. It'll still enter you on that signal. So when stuff like this happens, you generally don't want to be dropped out. So you find a strategy that works well where you can take it off, then you should take it off.
Now, in the moving average, you say don't use it?
Yeah, I wouldn't use it on the moving average because when it crosses, it generally means it's going to change trend, right?
But what if you notice, make where it'll make a small, move over the moving average and then go right back in your direction.
Yeah, you can definitely set it that way. It just depends on you. In general, more often than not, when it crosses, it actually.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
Wow.
Okay. That helps a lot.
Okay, no problem. You guys have any questions or still processing or something?
I'm done for the day. I got my fix.
Hey, glad to help, man.
That's good stuff.
Love it.
Yeah, what I did with force entry with range, since it moves so much, I would really put my, like if I put 8:30, then I would put the end time really close. So I won't take another trade at the day. Like sometimes I can just put 8:35. 5 minutes is a lot in range. So it's just gonna fire a trade at 8:30. The one after 8:30.
Fuck.
Right here. 8:30.29. It's gonna fire a trade here at 8:30.55, which is the next one. And in case like there's a situation where you can get chopped out in like seconds, and then another signal comes up, that's the reason why I put it so close to each other, like literally 5 minutes apart. So I won't fire another trade. I just want to have one trade a day.
Yeah, I think if it goes under, and then you cool with that, with your stop or your limit set, you cool with either taking your win or taking that would it be like one trade per day?
Yep. That way you really preserve your account.
Yeah. That makes sense though.
Yep. I mean, if your strategy works when you're trading twice or 3 times a day, then that's definitely good. Yeah. More questions or anyone need clarification on something before we cut off?
Not wasting time, it's based on price, right? Balls created every time 10 tips, right?
Yeah, I got on range 10.
Right. Every time 10 tips created, it's a freaking ball. Sometimes it could take a little bit longer than 5 minutes, right? It could not, 15 minutes.
Yep. Sometimes it can take hours.
You get in for 5 minutes, like whatever I get in that 5 minutes is good.
Yeah, because you're gonna enter a trade at, it's gonna enter you no matter what at the next bar after 8:30. So after that, I'm good in the 5 minutes. Yeah, you can notice here like 4:44.39 this bar. The next bar came 20 minutes after. It takes long sometimes. When the market is slow, it's gonna take long to make another bar. I'm not getting out in the 5 minute. I'm just entering. Yeah. Yeah. So at 8:30, they'll fire me right here. This trade. And then the only way I'll get out is if it hits my limit or it hits my stop.
What's that 8:35 a.m.?
It's just for in case, let's say at 8:30, because you know how range moves so fast. Let's say when I enter at 8:30, like let's say here I entered at 8:30, it went for me 18.6, then all of a sudden it just dropped, and I got stopped out. I want to enter another trade, because this could happen in literally like 30 seconds sometimes. Yeah. You don't want to get chopped out or anything, so I put it really close so I won't just to make sure it's not going to fire another trade. Because all I want is just one trade a day.
But just in your example right here, even though you have that long bar right there going from, say, 8:33, 8:30 till 10. So you wouldn't be able to capture that long bar. You would only be able to capture up until 8:35.
No, that's just telling the software when to stop firing a trade. If you're in a trade already, it's just gonna keep running you. It's not gonna stop you or anything.
So that's to stop. So to stop firing a trade,
Just what's up?
Remind them that the exit is not a box topic.
Exit, yeah, you can't check that on range chart.
Right, this is why that's why you need to explain that now.
Hold on.
It'll only get you out on the trade based on your stop or signal. Yeah.
Okay. So to clarify, I know what you said is different to me than hearing us say that the software goes to sleep.
It'll go to sleep after 8:35 a.m.
But it's going to go to sleep as in stop firing a trade. It's not going to sleep as in it'll take you out.
No, yep, it'll just stop firing trades after that time.
Okay.
So if you don't hit your either one of your stops, then we'll take you into a maintenance margin.
Yep, that's the only downside of the range bars. If you don't close it before you close manually, then you're gonna definitely go into the maintenance.
So if you see that you still
Run out. Take the shit off. That's what I was doing when I was live. I was trading ranges, and then I would make sure at 1:58 p.m. I would go on my software and close my shit.
So how do you close when you stop trading?
You just go on your trade tab right here, and you just click exit all or exit chart. Yeah. But if you have more than the maintenance margin, you might as well just leave it.
You get money later on. I know you get that money.
Yep.
Or lose what you dedicated to lose.
Yep.
So, can it fire another trade within the 5 minutes? Would they be able to fire another trade within that 5 minutes? Is it possible?
It is possible. That's why you have to analyze the market and see what actually happened. Like some charts that I was running before, I would only put like a 2 minute in this time restricts just to absolutely make sure.
Another fire.
Yeah, fight again. You just gotta see the pattern. That's why range, it's more work because you have to front test longer and you gotta pay attention to a couple of minutes.
Catch the quick lines. Especially if you get if you're sitting a good number. Short span.
Or it doesn't even have to be a quick run. Someone's gonna go long and you catch it.
Yeah. So do you have any questions before you go?
I do. I have a question in regards to time restraints.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say I'm looking at crude oil, but I want to enter. I'm doing 2 charts per se. 2 different time frames in the crude oil.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the key, and the time says 6:65. No, Eastern. 6 to 5 Eastern. So I want to enter the first car. I want to say 601 to 12 p.m. 601 to 12 p.m. And I want the other one to say 1201 to 5 p.m. In regards to the close out the first trade. How do I close it out? Or explain the price mark for those.
So, what time is it closing your? You said 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And then you want to close the first one at 12?
Yes.
And then the market closes at 5, you said, right?
The market closes at 5. So I want to start another, the other time will start at 12:01.
Okay, so let's use a 60-minute chart just to demonstrate. So this exit one price bar before close. If you want to close it at 12 p.m. and you know the market closes at 5, all you do is count how many bars 12 p.m. is from 5 p.m.
Oh.
And so in this 60-minute chart is 5 bars, so you just put 5 in there.
Okay.
And then that'll close your trade.
You gotta
count all that.
Oh, that's all.
Or he could use the bar chart up there if you don't want to manually count it. If he's
There's also right here the bar calculator next to the arc. You just draw it under. And I'll calculate how many bars there is. Thanks. Forgot about that. So any questions before we shut it off?
Yeah. How do you get to your city times down there at the bottom of the chart?
So it's just right click, chart overlays, and all the way at the bottom says time zone. I click here, just takes it out. Just put it back. Yep. All right, anything else?
Shoot the dog. Shoot the dog.
No problem, man. When you build those jumps, let me know.
Okay.
Study, guys, study.
Yes, study.
Study, yeah, study.
Thank you, guys.
Anything you need, guys, just hit us on the private group and we will help you. Make sure to all be in Telegram, Facebook, and hit us on Telegram. We answer 3 questions and we can assist you with it. Okay? Good job, people.
You know what I gotta do?
Yep.
See you. Have a nice weekend. See you Sunday.
I'm gonna cut this off, so have a good night, guys. See you next Sunday. Thanks.
Whoa. Phenomenal. I'm gonna go live on YouTube here. We'll be going live and shortly, following part 2 of Dan Penna's Unleashing the Beast, Alpha Strategies in a Beta World. Let's get it.